This is Papa Smurf. You're listening to Our Lifestyle, the podcast, with ODB and the mayor.
Yo, 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 it's ODB, Our Lifestyle podcast, and we want to remind you that Bayou Showdown is going down later this year in Slidell, Louisiana at the Harbor Center. That's 100 Harbor Center Boulevard, again in Slidell, Louisiana. Bayou Showdown is November 20th and 21st. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving, so get on out and support the scene, including Custom Car Show Productions in conjunction with Mr. Sean Randall. Bayou Showdown, November 20th and 21st, Slidell, Louisiana. Check that hashtag, Bayou Showdown, or Facebook, Bayou Showdown, for more information. Yo, 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 it's Our Lifestyle podcast, a.k.a. OLP, episode 251. Man, we smashed through the milestone 250 last weekend. Big ups to Doug Starbuck. But let me see, did Miggity Mike the mayor, did he call into the conference? Are you there? Oh, I guess I'm going to be doing this one solo again, man. I wish I had another co-host, man, sometimes.
Hey, Jay, I could jump in on this.
What? Is that Hank?
Oh. No, this is Hank's sidekick, Riggedy Ron Perkins.
My man, they coming through in a pinch, man. I think Mike's out gallivanting around, something about some show coming next year to Daytona. I go, Mike, I don't want to hear anything about it.
Yeah, buddy.
So how you been, dude? Man, I know you've had the pedal stomped, and obviously, man, just a lot going on over your neck of the woods, right, Ron?
Yeah. Actually, I am not gallivanting at all because I have no vehicle to gallivant in. So I'm just at the headquarters. Reorganized the trailer last weekend. I've been doing a lot of embroidery lately. Just catching up on stuff that's not easy to do while I'm on the road. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, HAMMERD, weekendwear.com. Last time I was there, man, it reminds me how easy it is to shop there, man. When you hit the main page, you just go to products and tees, man. And I got to tell you, I just recently received, Ron, the DJ, can I call it the DJ Mays shirt, or is it going to be the teal short shirt? I mean, dude, it's easier to say the DJ Mays shirt.
Yeah. I mean, it's the official name is a Square Beyond Compare, but people have called it the Barbaya shirt. People have called it the teal short. Whatever you call it, you can click on it and get it for yourself.
Yeah, when I talked to DJ Mays the other day, he said, "Hey, whatever you call it, I've been called worse." But I love following him on Twitch, man. He's been doing really well. He's forged a path. If you're a show promoter out there and you need a DJ, look no further than Jason Barbaglia, or however you want to butcher his last name, like I always do. Look him up, DJ Mays on Instagram. You can DM him. Ron, it goes down in the DM, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. That's where he gets all of his jobs at.
Yeah, I mean, we'll edit this out. I mean, you're not talking about those other jobs. I mean, yeah, we'll edit that.
You didn't have it for me.
Yeah, I got the edit button right here. It's all gone. Okay, so, but yeah, man, DJ Mays hit the homie up, the big homie. But yeah, Ron. But also on top of that, you have the Hummer shirt. And the Hummer shirt came out pretty cool, and I always get it mixed up because was the guy's name Jimmy Wheeler? I always get I know I'm probably awry on this one.
Yeah, Jimmy Broyles in Oklahoma. He's a Negative Camber member. He owns a wheel fixing business. So when Eric did the artwork, put a couple bent billets in there because that's what Jimmy's known for. And I heard news that he had sold that to a No Regrets member as far as his show down there in Oklahoma. So no longer Jimmy's, and I don't know exactly the person who did buy it, but he's no longer the owner, but he's got a fresh shirt and banner at his house to remember it by.
Hells yeah, man. HAMMERD, weekendwear.com. Check it out, or click the link in Ron's Instagram bio. Well, let's jump in this episode, homie. Dude, what's kind of cool is, we try to keep things fresh. We've been mixing up the guest co-hosts. We've been mixing up topics, baking in some audio from different people. And this one's going to be really no different because we're going to keep changing it up. We've got the homie Joey Durham from Majestics. Ron, you love some lowriders, right? I mean, we came up in the same era, dude. Lowriders are the shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, being from the West Coast, I came up, listening to a lot of OLP and listening to how people got into the scene with Volkswagens and stereos and this and that. My entry line to the automotive scene was the West Coast lowrider. That's what got me into mini trucks. So, it's still something that I would love to get back into nowadays. But unlike the old days, I really can't afford the game that they're playing these days.
Yeah, I think people are going to enjoy hearing from Joey. Joey's an East Coast guy. He's got strong connection to the West, talks about the history, so much more. But Joey from Majestics, Lowrider Club, well-respected out there, and he's got a lot to share, so we'll get to that. We're also going to try to check in. Ron, I mean, speaking about one of your supporters, one of your biggest promoters out there, Mr. Matt Middleton, word on the street is they've got a show going down, something about a throwdown. I thought it was a wrestling deal, but apparently it's going to be called Small Town Throwdown, and it's Labor Day weekend, dude. So, you can't go wrong if you're going to be over in the St. Cloud area. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was one that we had on the tour that I was super pumped about going to. But unfortunately, when things happened, I wasn't able to, or I'm still not able to get my truck back in time. So, unfortunately, we are going to have to miss it. But, it's going to be a hell of a show, just like it was last year. I saw Matt did a live deal yesterday. I jumped in there and chatted with him a little bit about it. We sent some raffle prizes out to him. So if you get to the show, make sure you get your raffle tickets so you can win some cool stuff.
Yeah, they do it for a good cause. He'll talk a little bit about that, and I would remind everyone that Vertically Challenged, the club, puts the event on. So I know Matt sometimes gets the lion's share, right? Because Matt's always out there with his awesome wife. They're hustling, but a lot of these shows, although there might be the one face of it, so to speak, there's really an army, so to speak, behind said individuals that are helping to be the face of it. So, Small Town Throwdown, it's going down. I think it's September 4th technically, but we'll talk to Matt hopefully a little bit later about that. This intro to episode 251, as we peel through episode 250 last week, and then we peel into 250 to 251 on our way to 300. Want to thank Graphics Mafia, Buddy, and Ryan. You can hit them up, GRAPHIX, mafia.com. Whether you want to wrap, some stickers, you need something for your business, a little bit of design work, they'll take care of you. They offer quick shipping. It's graphics with an X, mafia.com, or TikTok, Facebook, and the good old Instagram. Make sure you hit them up. So, Ron, as we jump right here into the scene updates, man, I wanted to kind of start with, I know that you've had, obviously, some things out there where it's been a little bit of a tough, this little segment of your tour. But I'm glad to hear that you're back on the rise, and it sounds like the Ham Ram is going to be peeling out in a town near every listener very soon. Yeah. The good people over at Randy's Transmission, one of the best in the country in Salt Lake City, and I just happened to break down there. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to get the truck tentatively mid-September, and then I got to bomb back home, get the trailer, do some more shipping, and then we're on to Missouri for Sparks in the Ozark show that we that actually Hammered had title sponsor this year. So we're happy to be a title sponsor on that one, and then we're going to get sideways out to Slam Fest. So we're going to jump right back on it, no delay. Love hearing it. And there was a rumor kind of going around, and I didn't know if I really believed it. It had something to do with there was some city you went through, and it had all these good nightclubs, gentlemen's clubs. And then there was like kind of a rumor that Hank was out toying with the vehicle. He was up underneath it and stuff. And I don't think that he would try to derail, the tour. But I know that sometimes those clubs are calling his name, so you got to kind of watch him. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to watch Hank every step of the way. And actually, if I would have been thinking correctly, I would have just left him in Salt Lake with Izzy, and he could have babysat him for a while.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you might need to get, Paul on board as like maybe some inventory management, because, I mean, you just never know some of the stuff. I mean, I've heard of boxes falling out of the hammered, the rig. And, I always try to tell Hank, man, hey, listen, dude, maybe a shirt here and there for, for yourself, but man, don't be robbing the homie blind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Those boxes are Hank's raises going out the back door real quick. Like,
yeah, it's going down each year. But listen, all kidding aside, we, last week I tried to pay as much respect as I could to our lost homie. I know, Ron, you're no stranger to this name and just a great guy in our scene. I know you had seen that Ernie Macias, rest in peace, still can't really, fathom that he's gone. But I believe that his wife or a family member through his wife's Facebook had posted something up. And it just is still tough to unpack, man. Yeah,
it hit the whole community pretty rough, and reading just everything that was going on. I found out when I was up at the Northwest Cruise, and just kind of put a damper on everything, and having a wife and a couple kids at home really makes it that much more tough. But he was, from what I knew of Ernie, we crossed paths 8 or 10 times up and down the West Coast, and he was always had a huge smile, always joking, always having a good time, and he'll definitely be dearly missed.
Yeah, and it's so tough that he had posted on July 21st on Instagram, and he said, literally, it's just giving me goosebumps. He said, some people leave too soon, #Tito, #10 years, and it's that famous photo of him at Rezo giving Tito a big one right there on the cheek. And after that he posted Showfest 2003 No Regrets CC. That was on July 24th, and really his last post that I saw was July 25th, the next day, about to watch USA versus Jamaica. I think he was watching the Olympics that day. And it's hard to believe, man. It's kind of like our dear friend, Greg Miller. You go to a show and or you're doing something you enjoy, and then you're just gone all of a sudden. And it's weird how the world works. But we continue to pray and think about his family. His wife had posted something up. I believe I had read that maybe on the last episode, but she posted on his Instagram, Mind of Macias, Macias, on today that we're recording on the 24th, and it says information for Ernie's celebration of life is in Ernie's bio, the link. We will have more details soon, and when you click the link, you'll see that they are working out the venue. Apparently, they're just trying to nail down those last-minute details, and they're going to share all that. But, from what I can see here, it's Saturday, September 11th from 6 p.m. to 9:30. Of course, that's Pacific Daylight Time. So we just wish him the best. And I tell you, Ron, the GoFundMe, Phil Fowler had sent me an updated screenshot when he had listened to the last episode, and it had already jumped like another $3,000, and that's kind of where it's been. I would just ask if anybody can, as I mentioned last episode, Google GoFundMe Ernie Macias, just how it sounds. There's over 200 donors. There's a lot of shares on this, and over $50,000 raised. So, R.I.P. Ernie Macias.
Yeah, and another thing, Jay, it's funny that you brought up that post that Ernie had did about Courtney. Actually, as we're recording this, being that it's August 24th, today would actually be Courtney's 53rd birthday. So rest in peace to Courtney Hallowell and Ernie Macias both, and happy birthday up there and in the big skies there, Tito. We miss you, and I'm still thinking about you every day.
Yeah, real talk, and thanks for tying that in. I know a lot of the NC members, to your point, will post that up typically on his birthday, so it's a great tie-in, and rest in peace both to two legends, man, that forged their own path in this scene and really united. You'll see so many NC members, but also No Regrets members say the same thing about Ernie, how he really brought a lot of people together. So rest in peace to the legends. Now,
Yes, sir.
Speaking of, kind of moving ahead with the digital side, so Brian Good continues to put out fantastic content all on his YouTube channel. He's dabbling in a little bit of the vlog stuff, which I love. But Grinder TV on YouTube, look up Scraping the Coast, or just look up Grinder TV. It's one of his last videos by the time you listen. But I don't know if you got a chance to see it yet, Ron. I watched it last night before I went to bed, and I noticed it was a little bit longer than his normal video. So I was really intrigued by that, and then I got to 7-8 minute mark, something like that, and then it cuts away, and I was like, oh, maybe he's going to do his little bit of his vlog, showing his travels, and of course, talking about our friends we lost and people in the scene. He does just a wonderful tribute to our friend Greg Miller, and I had some smiles on my face, but I had some tears too, man, and it is nicely done. He went back and found some of the video that he had of our friend Greg from different events, and I just thought it was real heartwarming what he did.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to need to go back there and take a look at that, because I've been so busy in the studio. I haven't had a lot of time for YouTube, whether it be Frank at Custom Life or Grinder TV or our friends over at Mini Garage. I really need to get in there and check that out. I'm a couple episodes behind on the Mini Trucker Colt YouTube as well. So I just need to take a day off and sit down and veg in front of YouTube all day.
Yeah, there is so much content out there, and we try to push all of it and sprinkle some out there, but obviously turning on post notifications, that'll kind of keep you guys up to date out there, all the listeners. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there, and it's hard to balance it all. Now, Street Trucks, I talk a lot about these guys, but StreetTrucksMag.com, man, they're on a warpath as far as updating content. If you go to the website, you'll see at the top, usually on the most of us are on our phones these days, but you'll kind of see the very top where you can kind of scroll through. They call the headlines, and those will kind of go through their little spinning deal of what's on the homepage. I clicked through it on the website, but man, I tell you what, from C10s to the Ram pickups, and I'm looking right now, I'm seeing Billy Bob 63 Datsun here, so they've got a good mix on their homepage, StreetTrucksMag.com. And speaking of that, they were just out down for Dennis. I think it was Adam Johnson, our homie, our brother. He was out there, and they've got the top 10 trucks of Down for Dennis. So it's pretty awesome, Ron, to see someone like Street Trucks that has an amazing magazine, but they continue to get behind that digital piece as well.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed reading through the paper copy myself, but the way that technology is moving over, Street Trucks has done one of the best jobs of getting over into that digital media and making sure they have people to cover everywhere. So big ups to them, and I look forward to seeing that 63 Datsun down in Las Vegas this year. That's going to be awesome out there in the Gauge Media. Is that their booth down there?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was pretty cool because that 63 was on a shirt, and I can't remember. It was on one of my buddies has a clothing company he does, and right. I could have swore I saw that. I don't know if it was at Lone Star Throwdown, the 10th anniversary this past February, but I swear you've seen that one, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, whoever put that on a T-shirt must have kept their ear to the ground, because the T-shirt dropped the same time the truck did. So. So mad props to those guys.
Yeah, and I could have swore it was a company called Hammered Weekend Wear, Hammerd, Weekend Wear. And speaking of D, it had some D in that Datsun, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it's a little D. Chris won't admit it, but it's the smallest D that I've seen.
Good stuff. But StreetTrucksMag.com, check it out. From an event perspective, I know, God, I mean, there's so many events out there, and it's tough to really keep up with them all. I have dedicated some time. If you go to ourlifestylepodcast.com, on the left, click on official OLP show calendar. When you get to that landing page, then you have to click where it says click here or tap here on your phone. And then you're going to get a pop-up that says, do you want to subscribe or open this calendar? When you subscribe to the calendar, I'm going to dedicate even more time to adding shows to it. But like last weekend was Severed in the Southwest. Now it's a show that I've never been to. It's the club that I'm a part of, And, Ron, it was awesome. The photos I saw, just really a good time. And you can check the hashtag Severed in the Southwest, or go over to Severed Ties Instagram, and you can click on a couple of the photos that they've shared there. And you can click on the hashtag, and you can see a lot of cool stuff out there.
Yeah, that's one of the better shows that I've been seeing coverage from the Midwest, and myself included. I haven't made it out there. Just scheduling doesn't seem to work out. It seems like every year, but we're gonna have to get out there. It promises to be a good time.
Absolutely, and the cool thing is, there was a good mix of different vehicles there. A lot of the Severed crew, even from some of the South, made it up to the Midwest, which I thought was awesome. And Fat Fabs, it looked like they were hard in the paint there. So Big Sis, Lil Sis, rides, the pickups, some drone coverage, a couple cool videos. It's all out there. Even the Smoothster S10 that I think I last saw at Showfest 2012, I want to say. That truck with the red guts, so to speak, it was there. So it was a good mix of vehicles. So
yeah, and myself included. I haven't seen the Smoothster in a long time, so I would have liked to see that again.
Real deal. Now, from a print standpoint, I know StreetTrucksMag.com, same deal. If you scroll down, so under the headlines, they had shared the new C10 Builder's Guide. And I love that they're doing this kind of the reveal. Chris Hamilton posts it, and it was around the 19th of August. But, this one's definitely going to hurt some feelings. It's got a little bit different spin to this truck, so to speak. And I can tell you what, they had a lot of shares on this one. It's pretty crazy. But what I really want to thank Street Trucks for continuing to do, just in general, obviously they're over the C10 Builder's Guide and all the other Builder's Guides, but they also allowed for me to shoot coverage of Made of Steel, one of our favorite shows here in Dover. Made of Steel is going to be doing something this holiday season. We're going to be talking more about it, hopefully a VIP-type experience. It's going to be over in the Orlando area, but they're going to be doing something for charity. I think it's a toy drive. I talked to Goat a little bit, but I want to just bring it back and say thanks to Street Trucks allowing me this year to shoot the coverage for it. So I'm so excited to see it. Love having that opportunity and to getting a chance to showcase some of the badass vehicles in this Florida area. So check that out. It's going to be in the new Street Trucks that'll be shipping very, very soon. Now, Ron, from a Facebook standpoint, I've seen a bunch of different stuff out there, man. Anything that you've seen pop up the last couple days of you working there in the compound?
Yeah, a lot of show updates. A lot of people are kind of getting into the second half of the year here. It's hard to believe that we're coming to the bad side of the year, so to speak, where the sun's going to start going away, but the shows are not stopping. So a lot of upcoming shows, a lot of show coverage. On a more positive note, that's a lot of people are traveling, doing family stuff. So that's really cool seeing people's vacation pictures that are outside the car show scene. So that's the majority of what I've been seeing pop up lately.
Yeah, same. And here's one I was kind of surprised on. Our homie Tony Moore over at Asphalt Army, he had posted up that I didn't even realize, and I don't go on Facebook as much, but he kind of said the past 2 months had been rough, and he wanted to give Marcia and Sherry all some love. He had fractured, so he thought, his foot, and I think he went on to say that I think it was broken, and so he's been through a lot there. So it was kind of cool to hear from the homie. He had reached out the other day, and much love to those guys. Love what they do, and it looks like he's getting back in the catbird seat, launching some stuff. So I think that's pretty cool, and I think he might be cooking something up for Relax It in the Park St. Louis next year. But I don't know, man. I mean, I could just be off basis. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's doing some pretty cool stuff. I've seen some teaser pictures from for relaxing in the park for next year, which is going to be another cool event going down next year. He was in that boot, I think, at Camp and Drag this year, and he was hoping it would just be kind of a spring, but I guess it was broke. He was telling me he had to do some inventory the other day, and Blake and Emily, his brother and his brother's wife had come over to help with the inventory, and I was just reminding him how lucky he was to have that extra help. Him and Marsha, Blake, of course, their parents, Emily, everybody that's part of that family affair over at Asphalt Army. They're a great team. They all work together really well. So it's cool that he's able to be able to lean on them a little bit when he's doing it one-legged, so to speak.
Oh yeah, good way to say it. I missed this one a minute ago. Sean Patrick, from a show perspective, he says, "Well, we did a great we had a great time today at Thunder on the Mountain Show. Wifey brought home her first hardware for Side Toy, getting second place for modified truck." So big ups to Sean Patrick and Donna Mahaney Patrick. Love seeing those updates, and don't get a chance to talk about those great folks enough. So big ups to them. Now here's one for you, Ron. The my brother David, aka Kool-Aid, we all know him as Kool-Aid, man. I think he was trying to throw a wrench in one of your last shirts, dude. I mean, what happened to Pablo Escalade? You know what I mean? I think he flipped the script.
Yeah, he totally flipped the script on me. And actually, we were trying to get that shirt out before scraping the coast, so I was beating him up to have him give me some reveals of the paint, but he said. He said, "Hey, I'm not giving you any updates. Like, if you want to run the shirt, great. If you want to wait until the paint comes out, great." And I was like, "Dude, I think it looks dope the way it is in white." So we ran with it, and man, I didn't think it could look any better than that all white flat laid out. But that new blue paint with the graphics on it is something else. I'm kind of kicking myself for not holding off on the design.
I know, right? It's I mean, I think it looks fantastic. I think Sketchy had chimed in and said that Maxwell did the graphics, I believe. I know he had it over at Extensive. So I gotta check in with the big homie. Speaking of Escalades, John Lopez, the big John Lopez, as my dad would say. John Lopez, he has Escalade, and he has a new tag that I think Feltham painted, I believe. And that's Project Escalade. And it's going down to Jimmy's Running Custom, so he was teasing a little bit of that. I'm excited to see the couple more things. Scott, I call him V6 Scott. Scott over here in Florida, he has some pics here from the ice cream meetup, so it was cool to see people getting together. I thought that was awesome. And a big one I wanted to share was Orange Beach Invasion. So they did open up the pre-registration. And this was Lauren Miller. The premium section of the main street is opened up. I think you can pre-register on Orange Beach Invasion. I looked at it earlier, and I don't know if they opened that yet, but you can message her. Last year, we had approximately 170 spots open. This year, they're only going to have 115 open. You do have to get your vehicle approved as well. So one of our favorite shows, Orange Beach Invasion. It's spring break every March in Orange Beach, Alabama. And then, Ron, here's one that I saved, dude, that involves you. Good looking out going over to, I know, right? Dude, you were on another podcast, and I thought it was awesome, man. You're showing some love to the future guys of our scene.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hooked up with Dayton at Camp and Drag, and we just had a little sit down. We just kind of chopped shit back and forth, and that released, I want to say it was late last week or early this week. So that was really fun, sitting down with them and just chatting about everything Ron Perkins. It wasn't just Hammered Weekend Wear. It wasn't just the trucks. It was kind of a collaboration of everything. So I had a lot of fun doing that.
Excellent. Love what they do. So Future Mini Truckin' Podcast, check them out. You'll see them on Facebook, and we'll link over. They use Anchor, which I think is a division of Spotify. So it's pretty cool to check out there. Now, the last couple things, I did want to give a shout-out to Paul. Paul, we had shared a collage of his dually. He's got a famous dually, and it's Paul Moffat, I believe is how you say his last name, but he has the truck that he's calling Covered Dually, or Cover Dually. And Cover Dually was on a cover of Truckin'. It was featured in Street Trucks, both by BMC, Brian McCormick. Rendered by Thor, did the new rendering. He's refreshed it. It's OBS. It's got a ton of mods. It's got the old school Phantom grill still on it. And amazing color. Love this truck. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I think those are, for the most part, those are the updates that I saw from a scene perspective. Ron, anything that I may have missed?
No, the only thing that kind of sticks out in my mind, Sunday was Tony Boss Bowen at the golf club with a Lincoln, all G'd to a T.
Yeah, man. So Biggity Boss Bowen, what was ironic is my homie had hit me up about doing a rental and for a vehicle. And I've been wanting to dabble in that, and I've been kind of planning on some stuff. And I checked with Tony, and Tony was like, well, hey, I could take care of this one. And so he got all the duds on. He went through the 65 gold bricks and did a bunch of maintenance, little things that he wanted to do. And, of course, it's a Lincoln. We still had a couple hiccups that Saturday night, but ended up being a couple that, I can't make this up, Daniel Smith of Smithworks, I talked to him the next day, and he was like, yeah, I was at a wedding last night. And I was like, okay, I mean, there's probably a lot of weddings. And I was like, well, where was the wedding? And he was like, well, over in, like, Trinity area. And I was like, at a golf course? He's like, yeah. I'm like, dude, this is kind of getting weird. I thought he was messing with me. So it ended up, he was actually at that wedding that when the bride and groom came out, I guess, there were probably people inside still doing their thing, eating, whatever. And the bride and groom came out about, I think Tony got there at 9:30. And, it turned out he was at that wedding. And, dude, that was crazy. But, yeah, man.
That is funny.
Yeah, and speaking of Daniel Smith, I meant to mention this last week. He's in one of the videos that Grinder TV did, which was got a bunch of views. It's painting Finnegan's truck. So Mike Finnegan, as many of you know, was a mini trucker. He's been on this podcast. And Daniel Smith was kind of tied in there. I think Tamco was as well. But I would highly suggest you check it out. But I just happened to call him on Sunday to check in with him, and he said that, and I was like, dude, this is weird, like Twilight Zone shit. You know what I mean?
Right. What are the odds?
Yep. The scene update is brought to you by Garage Gear Clothing. You can go to garagegearclothing.com. Free shipping in the U.S. Hit them up. garagegearclothing.com. They have ladies, kids, men's. They have stuff as low as $5 with stickers. And, of course, they've got Garage Girl as well. So, garagegearclothing.com.
Hey, Jay, I don't know if it's just my calculator, but my calculator is telling me that all of Garage Gear Clothing ships in the continental United States for free. Is my calculator wrong?
Well, I've got this little scale over here, and I just weighed this package. And for some reason, I've got this garagegearclothing.com tool, like you were just talking about, and it's telling me like it would normally be $15 to ship it, but it's saying if I were to ship it, through Garage Gear Clothing, it's free. So I don't know how that happens,
Huh. I guess my calculator's right then.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, Ron. I mean, you are possibly, I don't want to say David Copperfield, but you're like a Chris Angel. You know what I mean? Like, you just make stuff happen. I love this, man.
All right.
I was trying to think of Harry Houdini's name, then I was like, well, I don't want to use that one because, I mean, dude, that guy kind of, he kind of died during one of his, as Chris Angel calls him, he calls him, I want to do a demonstration. I'm like, I don't want to see any demonstration. I'm out, dog.
Yeah, no kidding.
The way he talks and stuff, he's like, it's a demonstration. I'm like, I don't want to see it. I mean, that's the way, dude. I've seen Hank on a Saturday night in the club, like start talking to ladies. Like he will talk like Chris Angel, and dude, they just flock over, bro. They'll leave their little VIP space, and they'll be in his space, going, dude, this is the new VIP. You know what I mean?
Yeah, out back by the dumpster. We got Hank's VIP out by the dumpster. And just be flocking to the dumpster. Crazy.
Oh man, dude, that's where they stash like the expensive bottles of wine, and then they're, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. It's weird how this stuff goes down. But moving on to the key show update. So want to remind everyone, LoneStarThrowdown.com. Here's the key. Next year's the 11th anniversary. This year was insane. Hank and Ron will tell you. But here's the crazy thing, right, Ron? They only do 2,000. And I know it sounds crazy to say only 2,000, but when you pack in all the food vendors, all the T-shirt vendors, all these different companies, products, Fat Fabs, so many different companies that come together there in Conroe at the end of February, you quickly realize that going into the 11th year, Ron, it's hard to find a bigger, badder truck show. And when you see all these mini trucks there and all these C10s and full sizes and everything, I mean, hell, NC Duck always brings out cool shit. Scooby, I mean, I think next year Scooby might have like the Knight Rider 18-wheeler there, bagged and body dropped. I mean, dude, these guys, I mean, there's so much cool shit there, man.
Yeah, it's something that I've been going to for, man, I want to say 8 years. And, whether you're going there from a vendor's, view on the thing, or you're going as a participant, or you're just going to check out the show, like, there's not a bad seat in the house. So whatever you got to do, February, be in Conroe. They're limited to 2,000 vehicle entries. They're limited on vendor spaces also. So believe you me, I pay for my booth in March for the following year, and nobody has, I mean, as far as participation, you don't have the option to do that. But as soon as they open up the pre-registration, you need to get on it because those don't last long.
Yeah, real deal, man. Mini Madness is having Slamfest, the 30th anniversary. Speaking of shows, that's going down the 9th and 10th of October. So we're basically, give or take, about a month, 5-6 weeks away from Slamfest 30. You can tap on that hashtag Slamfest30. And sunny Tampa, Florida, it's going to be insane. The pre-registration is still going down until the end of September, I believe. I keep forgetting, but it's minimadness.com. Scroll to the bottom. You'll see the link, and then you have to click on top, on the next page, and then you can pre-register there. Inside is sold out, of course, but it's going to be good times. From there, we talked about Small Town Throwdown, so obviously Matt will hopefully come on to talk about it. Slamfest, as I mentioned, of course, SEMA is the first week in November. I do know there was some news there about the whole mask thing. I'm happy they're having the show. I know everybody's got their opinion on the stuff, so it looks like I'll be able to make it out this year. I had been asked to go, so I'm excited about that, working with street trucks. We'll see how everything goes. Laying at the Lake is the 12th through the 14th of November. That's Grapeland, Texas. Bayou Showdown is the 19th through the 21st, as we talked about at the top. But I do feel like I'm missing some other shows. And Ron, I know you know some of these dates. KIK, they're having a show as well. And I know you guys make it easy at Hammered because I can go to weekendwear.com and I can click on the World Tour. Now, I know some of these dates had changed, but what I'm looking at here is you were going to be at Show Me Shake Up, which was the 10th and through the 12th of September. Branson. Sparks in the Ozark, as you had mentioned earlier. Now, are you still making Show Me Shake Up?
Well, unfortunately, the Show Me Shake Up was due to some things that are happening in that area with COVID and everything. They were having to cancel that one. So that gave me a little bit extra time to get ready for Sparks in the Ozarks, which is also in Missouri. And like I said at the top, that it was title sponsored by Hammered Weekend Wear.
Yes.
So we'll relaunch the tour there, and then of course Slamfest Last Resort is the one that you had mentioned earlier. That KIK is a big supporter of in Jennings, Louisiana, just before Laying at the Lake in Grapeland, Texas, and Bayou Showdown.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so Last Resort, the 22nd through the 24th in Jennings, Louisiana, as Rickety Ron had mentioned. Yeah, it's tough to keep up with all these, and what I need to do is every time I sit down, I'll start putting some dates in, and then I realize like maybe a show changes. Oh, I forgot this one. So I've had some fine folks actually reach out and say, hey, you're missing this one on the calendar, and that means a lot because, one, they're subscribed, two, that they've kind of noticed, and we're going to keep this going. I mean, we're the only, I think, entity that I know of that does the digital experience like this, and a lot of it is because I mean, hell, we're trying to plan vacations and, long weekends and stuff like that around time off, so it just makes it a little bit easy. So thanks, Ron, for helping me pull the nose of the plane up there relating to the key show updates.
Right.
Now, the key show updates brought to you by the West Coast Influence. It's simple. If you want to support the West Coast Influence, go to minitruckfilm.com. You can order the Blu-ray or DVD. And by doing so, you're supporting the scene, you're supporting Radar. He spent his own money to produce this documentary-style DVD. Check it out, minitruckfilm.com. Last few updates, podcast updates. I did post the new YouTube flip-through for issue 39 of Mini Truckin Magazine. Some of you think I'm crazy, but I'm going to go through all 269 issues of Mini Truckin. And some of you might be going, well, why? We get a lot of love, a lot of views on these videos, and some people are, often are looking for their dad, or for looking for their mom or dad's vehicle, featured vehicle from like 1990, 1994. We're all getting older, right? These kids are getting older, and they're going, hey, my dad's truck was in a magazine. It was an orange and pink one. Do you know what issue? Well, now we've been able to pretty much put together so you can scrub through them, watch them, whatever. But you have to go out to YouTube and search Our Lifestyle Podcast. Ron, you've heard of YouTube, haven't you? Or you're on a different kind of tube where I don't know, some weird shit, huh?
Yeah, YouTube is my second favorite video experience online.
Right.
So yeah, I've heard of it. Not my first favorite, but it's a close second.
Now, don't be hanging out with the Smut Smuggler down in the Smut Bandit down in Naples, because there has supposedly been, you can't make this up, a string of stolen, I don't want to call it paraphernalia, but stolen smut. So, you got to watch out. Mike is a mailman. So, just be careful, the circles that you're hanging in,
Only in Florida.
Florida man and Florida woman.
The Florida man, yep.
All right, podcast updates brought to you by Joey at Get Decked. Say it time and time again. If you are a show promoter or you are a vendor and you want to put vehicles or images on a skate deck, look up Joey at Get Decked. He's got the best service out there. Ron at Hammered Weekend Wear, as well as OLP, we approve this message because, Ron, you commissioned some decks from Joey as well.
Yeah. Actually, we got a hold of Joey at the beginning of the year. We had 30 decks made for the U.S. tour, which is our pick of the tour stops. So that will be we will be getting back on that here in October. And if anybody is looking for 5 random awards that I was not able to give out at these 5 shows that I missed, I'll make you a good deal on them.
I love it. And maybe get Hank to sign a couple, that's going to immediately get the value up a couple hundred points,
Right.
So, send those decks off, get them graded, all that kind of stuff, But
authenticated. Yep.
Yeah. It ain't rocket appliance, you know what I mean? If you're a Trailer Park Boy fan, you know that one, it's just not rocket appliance. But Joey at Get Decked, he's on Instagram, he's on Facebook. All right, so the Airhead Nation updates, a couple here that I had saved from Facebook, and there's a couple tough ones. Lauren Miller, Greg's daughter, she talked in her post recently about how she bounced back. She hit a little bit of a tough spot, as you can imagine, a little bit of depression, anxiety, and being a nurse and losing her dad and having this wedding come up. You look at this post and you're just like, man, how could one person juggle all this? So much love to the Miller family, especially Lauren. A lot going on. I'm glad to see she's smiling and she's doing what she can. And we know it's been a tough road for her. So much love to Lauren Miller. Now, Craig Braid, as I call him, CB Cooper, right? If you listen to the last episode, it kind of ties in CB, DB, and then Cooper, just because it's a Pacific Northwest thing. He actually changed his profile image. I love it. We're going to have to get a shirt made. Maybe some we'll start with some stickers, you know what I mean? And I don't know. Craig, he's celebrating 20 years at Republic Services. There was a rumor that he came into some money, but I think he's a little too young to have been, jumped out of a plane. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know him from up there. Next time you're rolling with him, he's always got, some money on him. So I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it might have been Grandpa Braid that jumped out of the plane.
Right. He's always going to some river they love to go to in the summer. They're always digging around or something. I was like, man, it's kind of weird. But,
right.
All kidding aside, dude, big ups to the homie. Him and his wife are awesome people, big supporters of the podcast, and can't wait to see them again at a show. This one's really tough, man. I tell you what, William, or as I call him, Bill from Camp and Drag, dude. Just a heart-wrenching post about his pops, and he mentioned, he was a bodybuilder, he was a super healthy man, and he just says hashtag, F cancer, and it's tough, man. It really is, because I tell you, man, you could be Arnold Schwarzenegger, you could be a bodybuilder, you could be someone that runs triathlons, and we all meet our demise, whether it's a horrible disease or something, like cancer. We've all heard the C word before, so. I just posted on there, man, asking for God to be with his family, man. I mean, it's really, really tough.
Yeah. The image that Bill had posted was really, really shocking. I actually lost my pops to cancer, and it's devastating what it can do to a person, and just seeing that image is really eye opening, and it kind of brings back some painful memories for me, but we wish Bill and his family all the best as they're going through this.
Yeah, and my coworker, she's going through some cancer stuff. She had she was out of work in January. She had her surgeries and stuff like that, and she's constantly battling. Like, she had to leave early today to go to Moffitt and stuff. And I tell you what, when I was younger, I didn't really have a connection to anybody that I knew that had cancer, and then you get older and you have coworkers and friends, and with Facebook you see the devastating thing that people go through. So it's always important to reach out to our friends, check on them, especially if they have things going on like this and they post things. Check on the homies, comment, text them here and there, and just make sure they're doing okay, because there's a lot as we get older. It's a lot to deal with. Speaking of that, Joe Bernardo had posted R.I.P. Alan Shaw, one of the nicest people that he's ever met, and someone that he called a true friend. So it looked like he was tied to the scene. Rest in peace to the homie. And then last but not least, a little bit of a positive thing, Chris Jurgensen says, well, today is a big milestone of 900 days sober for me, coming up on 2.5 years of sobriety. So I'm seeing more and more of that. I'm seeing more and more rappers and hip-hop folks as well, like an Eminem, like a Crooked I, which is now known as King Crooked. These guys have win, and sobriety is the way of life for them. So I know Bob Grant has, I think, taken that stance many years ago as well. So Dave Schulman as well, big ups to the homie, big supporter of the podcast. Appreciate that, Dave. But some people out there that, they made these choices for the better of their lives. So, much respect to those guys. Yeah. And actually, Chris is a Northwest Oregon guy. And I saw that 900 days and commented on him, congratulating him, and 1,000 days is right around the corner. Keep it up, Chris. And good job. I know you're doing it to better your life and your family. And it seems to be working out really well for you. So congratulations. Yeah, real talk. And listen, the last one that, this one, and it ties into the Kool-Aid shirt recently, is, Oliver Porter, dude. Someone that many of us know either from in person, as a friend, as a homie, someone we slapped hands with. Really well-respected guy. Forged a lane early on in this whole truck scene. There were the likes of, like, Ronnie was doing Flat Out. Right, so you have guys like him at the infancy, but then you have, someone like Oliver Porter that comes in and, he puts his flag in the ground and says, hey, this is what I want to do. And, Domination video, had just spread like wildfire all those years. But, Oliver won Mini Truck of the Year with his Toyota. He's got the IF Customs tie-in. We saw that truck many places. But I say all that because many of us know Pops, which was Oliver's pops, his dad, and we met Pops through going to shows, right? He traveled with them even before my dad was really hitting shows with me, and it was a devastating loss. I mean, after we lost Ernie, news broke about a week ago that Pops had passed away, and much love and respect to Oliver and his family, and I hope that they can make it through this tough time.
Yeah, that was a tough one. To hear that Pops had passed away. Oliver, we became good friends when he shot my truck 15 years ago for the video, and he's come out here quite a few times, stayed at my house. we went to Blazer games when the Phoenix Suns were in town. He'd come fly up here. I'd let him borrow my truck. He'd get photo radar tickets with it. And Pops is just a great dude. And up until maybe 3 years ago is when I first learned that his government name was Dennis. I just always called him Pops. So rest in peace to Dennis, Pops, and he'll be missed as well.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, man. And Oliver, if you hear this, or some of the homies that hear this, text him and let him know. He did chime in on a post. I did not tag him. I want to thank Josh Irwin, Coalition Wagon on Instagram. He had passed the news on that he had passed away. I had talked to Kerry at IF Customs a couple days before, and he just said, hey, one of our friends on the West Coast, his dad's not doing well, and I had an idea who he was talking about, and he didn't want to share too much. But, Joshua, thanks for letting us know. And we were able to pass the word on, and when we did, Oliver did chime in on it, and he said he wouldn't be responding to messages, and rightfully so. He's got a lot going on, but, rest in peace to Pops, as you said. So, with that being said, I want to thank Colorado Custom Wheels for the continued support. Love their products. You can go out to coloradocustom.com. You can message them on Facebook or Instagram. Michael and team will take care of you. Although there is obviously, I'm sure, constraints out there with different wheel companies and products. I mean, there's all kinds of supply constraints. Just know they're doing their best to satisfy all their clients. coloradocustom.com. Again, Instagram and Facebook. They also go by CC Cycle Wheels, which is their motorcycle wheel division. Dude, we've covered so much this week, man. I really appreciate you taking the time. I do want to let everyone know that Mike is doing okay. I know he's been super busy. We joke around a lot, but, check in on your friends, text them, call them. Don't be strangers, It's easy. It's easy for time to pass by. I do it sometimes, too. I saw today, Chuck Dog texted me last weekend, and he said, hey, how's it going? It was Sunday, and I was just trying to kind of detox a little bit, just clear my head, and, I didn't text him right back, and I saw it today. So it was important for me to message him back and say, hey, man, it's been a day or so. I appreciate you checking on me. How you doing? So check on your homies, Facebook, Instagram, DMs, calls, FaceTime. I mean, there's a million ways. Freaking WhatsApp. I know Hank is on, he's telling me about all these other kind of apps. I'm like, man, I don't know, dude. Some of these apps are kind of a little borderline, illegal. You know what I'm saying? But seriously,
right.
check on the homies, because I know Hank checks on his, But, Ron, I appreciate you taking the time, bro. Anything else you got, dude, for the Airhead Nation, for everyone out there, man? I mean, any hints on what's coming? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, as we do 2 T-shirts every 2 months, September 1st is coming up. We gave a little teaser with most people guessed the front end of the orange car that we released. So that's just kind of a little teaser there. And I don't know if you were able to catch the teaser of the second one, but we put a couple teasers out there. You're going to have to tune in. Wednesday, September 1st, we're going to drop 2 new designs. That will be going to the following Wednesday. So it'll go September 1st, and then the pre-order will end September 8th. So you have a couple days, and then you can enjoy your long Labor Day weekend, and then you'll have a couple more days to get back in on it. And we will launch those 2, which are, I'm like short for words, because these 2, I haven't seen a pair of shirts come across my email that have been as badass as these in a long time. So you guys are definitely in for a treat. But unfortunately, I'm not going to give anything away here. You're going to have to wait until the 1st of September.
Yeah, real deal, man. And, it's just you're always talking about just the tip. It sounds like that's, you're good at just kind of giving you mean like when you say that, you mean just a little bit of information, right? Is that what you were trying to say?
Yeah. You can't give them the whole thing. Just the tip.
Right. Just like for a minute, a second, or something like that. I mean, just a little bit of information is what you're talking about. Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. We're on the same page. Cool. But seriously, HAMMERD, weekendwear.com. big ups to Riggedy Ron Perkins, man, keeping the pedal stomped. Obviously, he's had some hiccups with the rig, but he's keeping the ham ram legal, and it's going to be back trafficking, arguably paraphernalia, but mini truck paraphernalia, you know what I mean, across state lines. I mean, this is not an easy deal. I mean, it's kind of Smokey and the Bandit-ish, but we wish you all the luck, man, and appreciate much love to RA and all the kinfolk out there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm super excited to get back on the road. I hope everybody will come visit the relaunch of the U.S. tour in Knoll, Missouri, the first weekend in October. Hammered Weekend Wear presents Sparks in the Ozarks. So come on out. It's a great show, great after party. It's just a hell of a weekend. When I lived in Missouri, it was a lot of fun, and now I'm back on the West Coast, and I'm willing to travel 2,000 miles to get there. So that's what kind of show it is.
Real deal, man. Love hearing it. We're getting ready to roll into some audio with Matt from Vertically Challenged, and then we'll roll into the audio with Joey from Majestics. I hope you guys enjoy the weekend. Be safe out there. We're getting ready to get up to Labor Day weekend. Just a reminder, I'll be at C10 Intervention with Street Trucks. So if you're going to be out in that area, come check us out. If you're going to be in Florida, go to Small Town Throwdown. It's a great show that weekend. You'll hear more about it here in just a minute. But Ron, dude, it's always real deal, brother.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on and letting me co-host. And I will see you bright and early for Slamfest.
Slamfest 30 coming up soon. All right, brother. Have a good night.
I appreciate you.
We out. Yo, and as I mentioned, we're getting ready to roll in here with audio. Would like to remind everyone that Slamfest 30, yes, the 30th anniversary of the famed Slamfest is going down this year in October, 2 months away or so, in sunny Tampa, Florida. Come on down the 9th and 10th of October. Make those plans now. Always beautiful weather, knock on wood, in October, and it's the 30th anniversary for Slamfest. You can check the hashtag Slamfest30 for more, or just search Slamfest on Facebook. Pre-registration is still happening. You can save $20, and that $20 is like getting a free show shirt. Go out there today, Slamfest on Facebook. Yo, as I mentioned, just finished up with Riggedy Ron from his Hammered Weekend Wear, but now we're rolling into some audio from Matt Middleton. That's a hard one to say in Carney. Matt Middleton. And I'm not even that good at Carney, bro. How you doing?
Hut 1, Hut 2, Hut 3, Hut. ODB is live and uncut. What up, dude?
My man, dude. He's on that Woo Wednesday, and it's only Tuesday. I love it.
What's going on, my brother?
Hey, not much, man. I love seeing all the stuff that you got going on. You're cruising low. You're hitting shows. You're flying here. You're flying there. But most importantly, man, you're having a good time, right?
Oh, absolutely, dude. I mean, like we say, the only way to make the scene better is going out there and getting boots on the ground and having fun.
Yes, boots on the ground. I love it. Now, it was important for us to get you on this week because Small Town Throwdown, maybe a show that you've heard of, is coming up soon. And, man, give us like the elevator, like the who, what, why, where, when. I know you've probably got it in your head and you can spit it like some, inspected deck and spit, prophecies, like he's going into like a woo verse, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going down September 4th, which is Labor Day weekend. It's happening here in St. Cloud, Florida. It's going to be from 12 to 7. We're going to start registration at 12. That's where we're going to have everybody start rolling in. Vendors will be setting up at 10. Those who are bringing trailers and vehicles that don't run and under construction and things like that, they're going to be rolling in at about 11 o'clock. We'll immediately start hitting raffles and judging will start right away, and we'll try and get things rolling and have a good time, man.
Yeah, I love hearing it. I know you've got to be super excited about everything that's going down. I mean, it's a big effort. And, I was trying to get it down there. I think it was like I bomb atomically, Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses. I can't define how I'd be dropping these mockeries. And that's the way you guys are doing it with Vertically Challenged, right? I mean, you guys are dropping some gems, and this is one of them. This is one of your, this is one of the chambers, right, of the Woo, but this is your show. And I know it's been a group effort, right? There's been a lot of folks, your wife is a big piece, right, in terms of, getting behind the show and getting out there, having the orange shirts on. Talk to us a little bit about a couple of the folks that have stepped up to help, put this event on in terms of raffles and whatnot.
Yeah, first off, I want to say, my wife, Michelle, has been the best. If it wasn't for her, I would not be organized. But the people who've jumped on board and helped out more than anything else, Ron with Hammer Weekend Wear putting us on the World Tour shirt, which was a huge blessing for us. Feltham Fab, we just dropped the cup, which is for the registered vehicles this week. Dizzy has gone off and made a couple of things. He made a frame for us this week for Facebook. Damien's thrown in some of his killer backpacks for us to raffle off. You guys have stepped up and given us a bunch of stuff to raffle off this year. I mean, Graphic Disorder knocked the artwork out of the park like they always do, and seeing it in actual print, dude, just wait until you get your shirt. Just wait.
Yeah, I can't wait. And, Graphic Disorder kills it with all of these different, artworks for shows and brands and all that stuff. And I couldn't agree more. The Decorvers, they apparently loved it for some reason. I don't know why, though.
I don't know. Kim just nailed it. She just nailed it right on the head with it this year.
Yeah, it was something. But big ups to the Decorvers. They've got Sparks
in the Park. It's going down April 1, 2, 3, 2022.
Dude, you can't do an April, like a 4, 1, 2, 3. I mean, that's almost like an April Fool's deal. You know what I mean? I don't even know if the show's going on. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe they're pulling one over on us. Who knows? Tick Mark himself maybe trying to pull a fast one all of us, so we're not there.
Yeah, he put a DMS 10 on some of the artwork, and I was like, dude, I think I've seen that dime before, you know what I mean? But that's for another episode. We're trying to cut our promo over here for my boys' show, Small Town Throwdown, and the Decorvers are trying to rope us in, so.
Yeah, I'm super bummed you're not going to be able to make it, man. We're going to have an Olympic day with the BMX track this year.
Ah, man, I'm so excited for it. Now, this year, what's the layout going to be? Because I know last year, right, you had this challenge with the city and with COVID and all that stuff. This year, are you kind of looking at the same parking lot, or what's the layout?
Well, this year we've been blessed that the city is on board. They're helping us out a little bit more this year. Thankfully, we got more porta potties. I know I'm sorry for what happened last year. We have way more bathrooms this year. We have the 2 main parking lots. Trailer parking is going to be behind the gates in the actual BMX track area. So that'll open up a lot more space this year. We got the local Boy Scout troop is going to be doing barbecue on site. We got a local hot dog guy on site. Kona Ice is supposed to be coming through. So we actually have food vendors on site this year, which is killer. We got actual vendors coming in place to set up and sell product on site. I have club members coming from Louisiana. I got club members coming from Georgia, North Carolina. So we'll be staffed up, ready to go. So we're going to be a lot more organized this year, and it should be a lot smoother.
Excellent, man. Now, talk to us about the show shirts. I know we were talking about the artwork, but are they going to be able to get one? Did you guys have some leftovers? What's the deal there?
Yeah, pre-orders or pickup day of the show. We already have those all bagged and tagged. We got some insider trading from Miggity Mike. He gave us the 1, 2s, and 3s on how to do that. And then we made sure we had black shirts day of. I got them from small to 3XL for those guys that didn't get in on the pre-order. We do have a couple 3XLs available.
Excellent. So you'll be able to get those. Now, the raffle stuff, talk to us about where that money goes and some of the stuff that you're going to be raffling. You kind of hit on some of it.
The raffle items, all of the proceeds from the raffles are going to go to multiple sclerosis, which is the charity that we do every year. A lot of people suffer from it in the scene, very close to us, and from our other families in different clubs. So it seemed very fitting for us to try and give back to a disease that has no cure. So we have Billy the Kid is going to be doing a cooler for us this year. He's going to be painting it up. That's going to be a cash raffle that we're going to auction off. A lot of the other items that we have include Devil Boy Media, Damian Davis with the backpacks, which are super rad. Asphalt Army sent us some shirts this year. Hammered Weekend Wear sent us some shirts. You guys stepped up and gave us some items to raffle off. KIK stepped up and threw us some stuff. I know we got 1 or 2 more items, but we're going to have a couple of secret items too that we're going to throw in their day of and announce. Excellent.
Yeah. Small Town Throwdown going down in St. Cloud. If you haven't had a chance to check out their artwork, go to Instagram, type in Small Town Throwdown. You can check it out there, or on Facebook, of course, Small Town Throwdown. What's cool is I've been telling everyone, don't give it away. There is an Easter egg that's in the artwork. It's really epic. Eric, Brant, the entire team over at Graphic Disorder really killed it. And what would be awesome is Adam the Woo. He's real big on YouTube. It'd be cool if he could come out, if you could somehow get him out there. He lives in St. Cloud. He's got a place there, and then he's got a place over in the West Coast. He's kind of hard to get a hold of because he's not really on social media, as you would think. But, every time I see him in St. Cloud, I'm like, man, I wonder where Matt's at. Where's Vertically Challenged? You know what I mean?
That would have been super rad if he could come out. Yeah, I mean, I would love to have him come out and just hang out and spectate, which spectators are free. You guys didn't know.
Oh, yeah. It's good stuff. So if they get there at a certain time, they can pay to get in the event with their vehicle, right? You have some awards you're going to be giving away. Any other key information you wanted to share?
Be mindful. It is a public park. There will be kids playing around. Please be respectful of the park. If your kids want to bring bikes and skateboards and stuff like that to ride the track or the BMX park, just know that that's a separate entity and they'll probably have you sign a liability waiver, but I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to ride the track as an Olympic day for the BMX standpoint. I know the skate park is open. You can go in and out. Wheeler was rolling around last year with his kids. I know the Schulman's kids were out there rolling around, having a good time. So that's one of the things that we love about this location. It's so family welcoming, because the kids get to play and have fun while the parents get to chop it up and look at cars.
Excellent. You and Michelle do a fantastic job of getting out and going to as many events as you can, networking with people from east to west. And that goes for all the vertically challenged folks, right? You got a good bunch of kinfolk that get together to put this one on. I'm excited to see what you guys do this year and some of the photos that I'll be able to check out. As you mentioned, unfortunately, I won't be able to make it. I'll be over on the West Coast at C10 Intervention. But, you guys are building upon this, and for anybody that's out there, a listener, you may not recall, this event used to be a different weekend. And because of COVID last weekend, it could be a blessing in disguise. You guys moved it to, was it Labor Day last year? And then that's when you said, hey, we can make this weekend work each year going forward.
Well, the year before it was Memorial Weekend. We were originally going to be a Memorial Weekend, but with COVID, it pushed us back to September. So we decided, we checked with Craig because last year Battle in Bama was on Labor Day, and we checked with him to see if he was going back to his original weekend, and he was. So we're like, all right, cool. September works for us. We'll keep it in September. Let's make it a holiday weekend. We're real close to the theme parks, all the other surrounding attractions. You can make a family weekend out of it, go to the beach, whatever.
Yep, exactly. That's awesome, homie. So, but man, I love hearing it, dude. I mean, it's good that you guys were able to mix it up some, and you made stuff happen, dude. And again, tip of the cap. I love the fact that
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. If you count the shows, and I've done this, it's something like 10 events. If you look at everything and you count next year, Mike's going to have one in the mix. Of course, him and John in January. But if you count everything, Big John, I didn't mention earlier, like the Trucks and Cheeseburgers is coming up. And if you go on Instagram and type in trucks, I usually just type in, Trucks and Cheeseburgers all spelled out. That's like September 19th. So a couple weeks after your event, the event that you guys are putting on September 19th is Trucks and Cheeseburgers. But like if you count that and, all of these other events like the Decorvers and Slam Fest and one of our favorite shows, Relaxed Atmosphere, has Relaxed on the Ranch. I mean, there's so much going on in the state, and it's awesome because years and years ago there was 1 or 2 shows, and now there's 10 or so. So there's plenty to get out, no matter if you're in the Panhandle or you're anywhere else in the state. There's plenty of events, and we thank you guys for putting another one on.
Well, I appreciate that. It's crazy to see the change and the demographics move from where SoCal and Bakersfield used to be the hot spot, and now everything's in the Southeast, and and Florida has this massive growth of shows that are coming to be, and it's awesome to be here now and to be a part of it and be able to go out and support these other shows that are happening in the state and in the Southeast. It's definitely a blessing.
Yeah, real deal. And we're getting ready to roll into audio with Joey from the Majestics. He's a lowrider guy. And if you listen to the end, he talks about an event that they're going to have next year in Florida. Okay? So you add that one into the mix. Man, dude, there's plenty to go around. There's plenty of events. There's Made of Steel. There's so many awesome, events out there. Small Town Throwdown's awesome, and I had just a great time the last 2 years going to it. And even when you guys first kicked it off, and then you were planning to have it kind of at a different venue last year, but you're kind of fighting your footing, so to speak. And we're super excited about it. But Matt, before we let you go, give a shout out to your son, and then anything else you want to share.
Yeah, man, absolutely. My son, Caden, if you guys know, as Mike says, he's the coolest kid mini trucking right now. He's super excited. He's going to be with me day of, and he's going to be helping out with the show. So if you got any questions, you can ask him. He'll tell you how to do things. My wife, Michelle, without her, again, I would not have been as organized as I am now. And the rest of my crew who has stepped up and helped us out through and through, the rest of my club mates that are coming from out of state to come and help and staff and show support. They're bringing vehicles out. So I look forward to seeing you guys September 4th, and we're going to have a great time.
Yes, Small Town Throwdown, Facebook, Instagram, as I had mentioned. Get out there, lowriders, full sizes, minis, of course, on the rise. But it's going to be a great family atmosphere. Get out there. Plenty of raffle tickets, so bring some cash. It's going to a good cause, as Matt had mentioned. Matt, thank you so much for taking the time. We're going to roll into some audio. Be safe this weekend, homie. Don't do anything we wouldn't do, and keep it legal. All right?
You got it, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
ODB, we out here. On to the next one. Enjoy the weekend. Yo, as I mentioned, this is an awesome episode. Been so excited for a while to bring on our friend Joey Durham. My brother, what's going down from the Majestics? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, homie? How you doing today?
Hey, everything is good in the hood, man. Really appreciate you taking the time. It was cool meeting you not too far, ago over at the Roosters cruise-in deal. So yeah, man, it's been a pleasure getting the chance to know you, Joey.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That was a good turnout there, and they welcomed me real well over there, man. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to next year.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. I wanted to kind of ask, maybe give a little bit of background about yourself. Who's Joey Durham?
Well, I'm the president of the Majestics Daytona Beach chapter, worldwide Majestics. Let's put that in there. And I've been a member for 21 years, and enjoying every minute of it, man. The clubs took me to a lot of different places in the country, and I got to meet a lot of people. So we're going to stay on this journey for a lifetime.
I love hearing it, man. When I first slapped hands with you, I was like, dude, this guy knows this stuff, man. I'm looking at this car. I'm looking at, just different little things, and we're going to talk all about it. I kind of got this awesome vibe that, when I was growing up in the 90s, there's so many things came to mind, right? The Ice Cube video, It Was a Good Day, and things like that. And I want to hit on that. But, talk to us a little bit about kind of where you grew up, because you did actually grow up on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, actually originally from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
And then I came down here. I've been in Florida, 26, 27 years.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, pretty kick-ass. Now, I got to ask you this. Back in your days, because I kind of imagine we're probably around the same age, did you grow up, like a lot of us, into BMX or skateboarding, or kind of what was the stuff, as a teenager that you were getting into? Were you starting to see Lowrider magazine and that was the gateway?
Well, my father owned a mechanic shop in Cincinnati, Ohio. So, I was a little kid running around the shop. And, originally I was around like muscle cars, Chevelles, Camaros, stuff like that. But then my brother, he had started getting into the Cadillac game. So up there where the shop was at, it was in the hood of Cincinnati. So, we were seeing like the Oldsmobile 9.8s like on Public Enemy's front cover,
Yes.
And then, we had Oldsmobile 98s, Cadillacs, shit like that. So, back then we were just rolling, nobody could afford hydraulics. So we were rolling air shocks with the 30s and Vogues. And that's kind of where it started. And then I moved down here to Florida. I was actually originally living in Pinellas Park when I first moved to Florida. And then I was like driving trucks then, and I was down at St. Pete, and I seen this Monte Carlo like busting a 3-wheel. And I said, man, that's the first time I've seen it in person. I've seen it on videos and stuff like that. So I had to make the U-turn, and I know a lot of guys from over your way will probably remember this shop. I pulled up to a shop called Plan 9 Hydraulics in South St. Pete.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that place.
Yeah, and that tells you how long ago, I went back from. That was where I got my first car hooked up with hydraulics. It was actually an Orley setup, if that tells you anything.
Oh, damn. Yeah, man, that's a little throwback right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I had an 87 Monte Carlo Luxury Sport that I put that on with some Supremes.
Dude, man, all these terms are bringing back great memories, and it's crazy that depending on where you grew up in the country, maybe you were into certain things. Some guys on the West Coast, maybe they were into surfing. Some of us got into mini trucks because of this and that, but like what you're kind of talking about is like in your area, man, it was like the certain cars you saw, and that was something that just bit you, and you're like, damn, dude, this is what I want to do. Was that kind of the feeling you had like as a teenager? Like you knew, like I remember seeing a mini truck and I was like, dude, this is the stuff I want to do. It sounds like you had that same kind of notion, but with the lowriders.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said, my dad's shop was in downtown Cincinnati, so all the drug dealers and stuff, and they had the nice cars down there. Nobody was affording that stuff with drug dealers back then. And I was like, but my brothers, he was, we got cars through my dad, and we were fixing them up with parts, through the shop, like we, wheeling and dealing with people to buy wheels or trade all stuff. And yeah, it was in my blood at a young age, just being at my dad's shop, So.
Yep. Yeah, that's killer, man. Now, like when I think about the Majestics, I want to talk about kind of like the club stuff too, but when you think about, before I get to the Majestic stuff, right? Were there certain clubs that you saw up there in that area that you remember, or like do you think a lot of what you were seeing was that kind of from that West Coast, like the Easy E, and I like to kind of use him, but like you think Above the Law and you think NWA and all that stuff, a lot of that is what drove the term, 6 Six Foe, that type of thing. Do you think it was around that era when other guys were starting to see that, and that was helping to build the lowrider momentum, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I found a lot more history on it since I've been in the Majestics, from the West Coast end. I mean, I think that's what started the vibe hard on the East Coast, was them videos and all that. I never really got into the whole car club thing until I came to Florida. And one of the first guys I met, and he had a mini truck, was Jimbo. And I know a lot of guys know Jimbo. Yeah. And, so actually the first club I was ever in was Fly Customs.
Damn, okay.
Yeah, so that's something I hadn't even thrown your way before we talked. So, yeah, I had my Monte Carlo that I told you about with the Supremes and Fly. And then after that, I had a 63 Impala 2-door hardtop.
Got it. Okay. Wow. So see that you already know where I was going, because I kind of wanted to know maybe what you had before, what you got now. What are some of the good memories? What are some of the good memories you had in those early rides, man?
Man, some of the good memories I had was when we had all, and this is kind of going with the whole collaboration like you and I talked about. When I was in Fly, Jimbo come up to me and brought me into the club But you know what the good memories I had was, you got to remember that club was a lot of mini trucks and like, you know, import cars and stuff. And then here I come, and there was a few other guys with the lowriders, you know. So the good memories I had was everybody collaborating together and mixing together and getting along and cruising together. Them were the good times, you know. Nobody was separating each other from, you know, lowrider to mini truck to import car, you know.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that, because I think, like, you know, there's a lot of different genres now, especially you got stance guys, you got, you know, this and that. But, you know, I'm glad I met you. You know, you're a real cool dude, Joey, and I think, you know, we can build off that momentum even here. Like, if you think about trying to bring it back, you know, a lot of people say, oh, man, I remember the old days, the good old days and stuff. But I truly think, like, there's enough stuff going on in Florida. Like, we could mash up and do some cruises and that type of thing. And, you know, when you and I were talking kind of before we started, you know, we're seeing that a lot on the West Coast, man, with this resurgence of mini trucks that, you know, like the new minis and desirable minis and some of these different groups. Like, I mean, they're just out there cruising. A lot of the tilt bed stuff going on, dancing bed stuff. But then the lowriders are doing their thing. So I think we build upon that momentum, you know, on the East, bro, and we show people, hey, dude, we're more powerful united. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know, and I'm love watching these videos from West Coast with the mini trucks out there with the tilt beds and all that out on the cruise spots with the lowriders. Now I understand, like, clubs got their, you know, their bylaws and their, you know, their rules and everything, but you know, it does, like, we in the lowrider world, we hang with a lot of different clubs, and they're all lowriders. They may be lowriders, but we're all still one family. And it's like, okay, you got your, like with Majestics, it's your traditional lowrider club, so you got rules and what types of vehicles to be in that club. It doesn't mean I can't ride with, you know, or cruise with, you know, like a mini trucking club, you know, and we all have a good time. So
exactly, and that's one thing I want to give a huge shout out to my brother Vic Figueroa. You know, he got in Severed Ties, you know, 10 years ago or so, but you know, he's been able to build upon his 84 Cutlass and you know, form some inroads with different lowrider guys, and he's become, you know, some guys got a Cadillac, you know, some guys are, you know, rolling on you know, obviously wire wheels and stuff, but you know, he has those inroads now. And you know, I think it's awesome because, dude, I really think, like, minis, full-size trucks, lowriders, I mean, we all have our place in the culture. Really, that's what it comes down to. And so I kind of wanted to ask you this, you know, speaking of culture, you know, what are some of your early memories, or like, what are some of the things, like, you understand, like, how lowriding started? Because I've read some stuff, but I kind of wanted to get your take on, you know, what the things that you've heard over the years, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I know, you know, there's a lot of different stories, and you know, how lowriding started, and you know, I don't have a true description of how it started, but you know, from what I've heard, you know, I remember guys, like, you know, they were getting in trouble from riding too low, so they had to, you know, and the cops were pulling them over, so they had to find ways to raise their car up,
yep.
You know, to cruise, and they were like taking the pumps off of the tailgates and stuff of the trucks and all that back in the day. You know?
Yep.
And that's how it all started, you know?
Yeah, and that's a lot of what I've heard and stuff, and the reason why I kind of, you know, and I appreciate you saying that, because the ironic thing is, you know, depending on where you look, you know, you'll basically, you know, read that, hey, lowriding started like 80 years ago, basically, which is kind of crazy, because if you think the 40s and the 50s, you know, is basically 80 years ago. The thing that I thought was ironic is, like, as mini truckers, there's a guy in our scene, Brian Gendro, like, he was the first guy to really put airbags on a mini truck, or really any kind of vehicle, in terms of, like, lowering it to the ground. But what was ironic was, you know, as that started to grow, mini truckers were getting pulled over. One of our friends, rest in peace, Ernie Macias, he recently passed away, and he has this epic photo of him crouched down, and then a police officer is measuring the height from the ground to the bumper, you know, that shit. So it's kind of funny that I don't think a lot of the mini truckers, you know, and this is my assumption, they realize that, like, the lowrider guys were going through this shit, like, way before we were, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Like Majestics, it started back in 1973, but the founder, Lil John, you can find him on Facebook. Majestics founder is his screen name over there on Facebook. He started Majestics in '73, but he was in a club. He had a club prior to that called the Persians, man. And man, I love talking to that guy because he's got so much knowledge of the the early '70s, the '60s and '70s with lowriding, and yeah, so we're proud about that, man. Is just having I'm proud of being in a club that's got so many years under their belt, still having the founder involved.
Yeah, straight up and down. And to Joey's point, search Majestics with an S, of course, _founder. Just found him here, and man, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of history. One thing that I had noticed, doing some research, it talked about like lowrider car culture in LA in the mid 40s to 50s. Initially, a lot of Mexican American youths, lowering the cars and stuff like we talked about. There's like the motto that I've always heard, like slow and low. And that seemed like that was the thing in the beginning. And really, you could even argue now, I mean, I love riding my Lincoln slow and low, you know what I'm saying? But I think that whole philosophy is really maybe one of the underpinnings, right? I mean, it's like you have the style of the car, but, you're not trying to win a race. You're out there to cruise.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, even in the lowrider scene, you got different types of lowriders now. You still got the guys that just want to cruise, where like me, I just want to cruise low and slow. And then I got people in the club and friends from other clubs that, they're into the hopping, so it's about how high you could get now, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to hit on that. Now, speaking of that, I wanted to ask you, Joey, like when you think of, there's a couple cars we could talk about. One, before we get to yours, of course, which I'm excited to talk about, but when you think about lowriders, I've always thought of like something you'll see oftentimes, and I know there's even there's a big article out there on the National Museum of African American History and Culture, right, in this website, and there's a bunch of information about lowriders and stuff. But to me, like when you see the ones out of like the 70s and the 80s that stick in my mind, like it really was an expression of like who the person was, right? These crazy interiors, stuff you still sometimes see today. I mean, even engine bays done with material, right? Crazy. But like, is that, when you think of the cultural side of it, right, and the expression of the person or that family that built that car, I mean, is that something that you've continued to see over the years going to lowrider shows?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's still going on. Your car is, a representation of you, representation of your club. And it's still going on like that, So.
Yep. I agree.
I highly recommend that.
And the paint to me too, right? I mean, that's such an expression of, the person and the crazy paint jobs that I've seen. I mean, the undercarriages, I mean, all the detail work of the engraving and stuff. It's mind blowing to me what the lowrider crew can, what different guys and ladies as well can put into their vehicle.
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody's pocket's different. So
yeah.
we always we appreciate everybody's getting out there. We're trying to keep this tradition alive, and it's us to keep the younger generation involved. Like I got my kids out in the garage, wanting them excited about it.
Yeah.
I got, as a matter of fact, my son's my vice president. He's building an '87 Monte Carlo.
Damn.
So I'm proud that, and unfortunately I'm his dad, so I made, he did a frame off. He did first lowrider, and he's doing a frame off, so, but it's taking him longer, but he's appreciating it and he's learning a lot, and so yeah, I mean everybody's different. You got from mild to wild. You got your traditional lowriders, which is more of what my car is, and then you got the hoppers too, and then you got the guys that's still in the lowrider game that's taking their cars back to almost the original look. That's came back strong. So have hydraulics, but everything looks factory, like it came from the factory.
Yeah, 1,000%. We're talking with Joey Durham from Majestics, and you can follow Joey on Instagram. It's Joey, Joey, Majestics with an S. Go check it out because we're going to talk a little bit about his car. Well, first off, I want to compliment you because a lot of times, like, you'll see a dad and the kids and, working on a car, and you'll see this awesome comment that people will make. They'll say, raising them right, and as a car guy, we all kind of feel that. It's like, hey, you're out there, they got the kids washing the car, or building one, that type of thing. I think you nailed it, Joey, like trying to get the younger generation to use their hands and do things absolutely. Like what we love. I mean, that's a great thing, man.
Yeah, I got my son out there. He's 8 years old. Always wanting to help. Even my daughter, she's 6, always wanting to help me. Whether it's handing a tool or just sitting out there with me, you got to keep them involved. Keep them out of them front video games all the time.
Yeah, I know, right? What does it mean, like, when you think about low riding, right? So we talked a little bit about it, slow and low and that type of thing. But, like, if I really were to break it down and be like, yo, Joey, what does low riding mean to you? Like, I mean, because you've been doing this a long time. Like, would you have an elevator pitch that you tell someone on what it really means to you as a person?
To me, it's my lifestyle. Mm-hmm. It's not just a car. I mean, this has became a family affair. I mean, every day there's a talk about whether it's the club, the cars, or whatever. I mean, it's my lifestyle. I couldn't see my life without it. It runs through my veins. The cars, like in the club, we say we bleed blue and gold. That's our club colors, man. And I do. I mean, anybody that knows me can say, yeah, he bleeds the blue and gold. So to me, it's everything. My wife, she's in the club too. We're building her a Cadillac right now. So
dude, I mean,
to me, it's a family affair.
Yeah, we gotta link up more because, man, it's crazy to sometimes think like we all got friends and this stuff, but sometimes it's hard to get the homies to come by and help out. And to me, like, it's even important just to stop by someone's crib and crack a brew or a drink and chill in the garage a little bit and be like, oh, what are you working on? And oh, do you need some help? No, I'm cool. Whatever. It's awesome to me, the camaraderie. But you use the word that ties into our podcast title, lifestyle. And
yeah,
one of the shows, like, I've loved hip hop since the late 80s when I really got into it. I was 10, 11, going on 12, right around that age, and, listening to Souls of Mischief, from Cali and Daz FX and so many different things. But LA Originals was a Netflix series. I don't know if you ever saw it. Kind of ties into, Mr. Cartoon, right? It's hard to watch that and not realize, like, what a lifestyle. Like, they live it all. It's the music, it's the art, it's the graffiti, it's the lowriders. I mean, dude, what a well produced documentary.
You got to see our documentary too, Jason. It's called Sunday Driver.
Okay,
and it's a documentary on the Majestics, actually.
All right,
and that's another one that you can check out on YouTube, and that you can even get the DVD. But
damn.
So it was produced, early 2000. Like, it was produced actually, I think, late 90s, early 2000s. But man, I watch that still. I can't tell you how many times I watch it, and it just to motivate me. If I start getting down about my car or just not getting out to the west enough, I just watch that, man. My homie Gangster's on there.
Damn,
the president of Compton. I'm sure a lot of people know Gangster. He's the president of Compton, man. He's the one that paved the way for Daytona Beach chapter, man. Much props to G. So
that's dope. And yeah, I see the thing right here. You can go on IMDb or just Google Sunday Driver Majestics. It's going to come up. Obviously, that's something I learned, and I'm going to definitely check it out. I think it's awesome. Joey, when I think about low riding, one thing I think that's interesting, I bought, Snoop's album the day it came out on my birthday, November 23rd, 93, right? And I would have never thought, 30 years ago that Snoop would be, like, so ingrained into, like, pop culture, we'll call it, right? I mean, damn, he had a show with Martha Stewart. I mean, that's crazy, right? But when
never seen that coming.
Didn't see that from Crib. Did he reps? I mean, he was one of the first rappers that was like, he was like, about repping his set. but he's made it, and he's been able to do and forge his own lane. But I also think about lowriders, and when you think of how they've crossed in the mainstream. I mean, if you look back at movies, we talked a little bit about there, obviously, but TV commercials, I mean, hip hop, etc. Are you ever amazed at, just an enthusiast, right, and a member, of course, of Majestics? Are you ever amazed at the crossover that lowriders have got to at this point?
Man, I'll tell you what, kudos to them guys, man. It makes me proud to see lowriders in the mainstream. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll tell you what, that's what I think has helped it come back strong, is the most recent ones, the most recent movies and stuff that's been out there in the last few years. The last 2 or 3 years. So, you know what, that me being in the game long as I have, even when lowriding was dying out here, man, I still kept it 100, you know?
Yeah, I love hearing that.
It didn't matter to me that, what it was, lowrider was strong. Then you had all these other, people started getting into other types of cars or it died off. And then you have these movies come out, and then lowriders getting strong again. Well, I'm glad that people took the opportunity, these producers and stuff, to make the movies like NWA and then the other movie Lowriders, to help bring it back over, at least on the East Coast. West Coast has always been strong, as we all know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I follow kind of a weird tie-in here, as I follow Tony Hawk very closely on Instagram, social media. I just love, seems like a super nice guy, and he's obviously been skating forever, but he'll post an old video of like the late, I don't know, not late 80s, maybe early 90s, early into mid 90s and he'll say this is when skateboarding was like really starting to die off. And I think back and I remember there was that era that skateboarding in general, like the kids grew up a little bit and then the other kids weren't really into it as much. And there was that period where I guess it kind of just nosedived off. And it's weird how stuff goes in cycles. And like to your point, like I never really thought of lowriding kind of dying off, but to your, I guess, your recollection is that there were on the East Coast, maybe it plateaued off a little bit. And to your point, I mean, I love seeing that it's coming back full force, man. Yeah,
me too, man. It's cool. Like right where I live outside of Daytona. Right in the city I live in. It's cool. People would never know, but there's like 3 or 4 different lowrider clubs right here in this town. And some of the hottest lowriders you see right here where I live at, and it's cool. And we're, it's the older guys, we're still keeping it alive, and but now we're all working on finalizing cars, and I'm just looking forward to getting out there cruising again, man.
Yeah, for
everybody
sure.
Looks at my car, everybody looks at my car and goes, "Are you ain't gonna drive that?" I'm driving that car,
Yeah, it's so killer. And you just mentioned some of the rappers. I mean, I remember in my younger days, my friend Paul Lane, one of my best friends, I mean, he really got me, ingrained into, he was a big fan of NWA and MC8 and stuff like that. So, like, I started looking at the album covers, and you look at, Compton's Most Wanted, that amazing overhead shot down into the Impala, and, like, I just was like, dude, I love this stuff. Now, granted, I've never owned a lowrider, so to speak, but I've always felt like I've read about it, I've listened to music, I know enough about it, but to make me dangerous, so to speak. But like when I think of Eazy-E and I think of cruising down the street on my 6.4, and then you got Dre and Snoop, They Do Let Me Ride, and Above the Law, King T, MC8, all these different guys. But I remember seeing Ice Cube's It Was a Good Day video, and as a young cat at that time, I just could not take my eyes off that car. We would VHS record the videos, and we'd go back and rewatch them. And I have to give a lot of credit. I mean, granted, like we've established, right, lowriding was done way before that. But I do think that the late 80s into the 90s, a lot of those rappers helped to really like propel it for, I mean, even if it was us on the East Coast, man. And I got to thank those guys for that.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, I think that helped the rise of lowriding out here on the East Coast for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, without a doubt. I know I was a youngster, and I remember saying one day, I was like, I seen nothing but a G-Thing video. You know what I mean? I said, I'm going to own me a 64 rag one day.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and you know what was crazy, and I think back, and I've only mentioned this probably a few times over the years, is when that stuff came out, I mean, I was going to Pineview Middle School in freaking Lando Lakes, right? I mean, no one had ever heard of it. But I tell you what, so many kids had those Chronic hats, right? We all had the Chronic tape, and we didn't know really, we hadn't really had anything at Bobonic. But, man, we were like, yo, man, we're going to get some stuff, man. Because, I mean, dude, it was like a cultural phenomenon, dude.
And if you think about that album, how many albums out now that you can just throw in the CD player? Well, nobody's probably even using them anymore. But, you know, what album can you put in right now and every song be dope like that?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Every hit after hit was that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and people always talk about that. It's like you could put that CD in, that cassette, you know, boom, put it on streaming, whatever, to your point, and literally it rides. And that's a thing, like, someone recently, I had this conversation with someone had tweeted to MC Hammer, of all people, and they're like, yo, Hammer, when are you going to put out a new album? And, you know, Hammer, a lot of people don't know that he really kind of, even though he had lost some money, he had gotten in and started getting behind tech real big, right? So like Twitter and all these different things, he invested money. And he goes, you know, I don't think in today's world, like, you really put an album out. Like, in these days, you kind of put singles out. And you'll see, like, artists, like, they'll put out 10 singles, you know? And they don't even have an album that they dropped recently. But in those days, like, when you listen to that album and the way it flows into the next song, I mean, it really was just, it was amazing. And I still remember, I still go on YouTube and watch the videos, man. Yeah,
no doubt. I mean, that's why a lot of people are making the YouTube. You can go on YouTube and watch it. It's crazy now. Back then, you had to wait for it to come on MTV or something. But now you can just go on YouTube and pop up any video you want.
Yeah, yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, Vivo. I don't know the whole history behind them. They used to have an app. But Vivo basically became somehow the distributors of music videos. So a lot of times when you're on YouTube and you'll see VEVO in the lower corner, it's like, you know, they put it out there, and it's like, to your point, I mean, it's like, boom, they're dropping videos. A lot of even there's a guy I follow on Twitter. He is friends with like Compton's Most Wanted, MC8, and those guys, and he's like filmed a lot of videos for them. And when you talk about technology, we've gotten to the point where, like, you can have a nice high-end camera and you film a rap video and you get it out there. And that's key because that's how people find a lot of the music now these days.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is insane.
Pop it up on social media and then you become famous.
Oh, yeah, exactly. His name is, I just found it, is Big Ray. He goes by Westlife, but, you know, he's a cool dude, and, you know, he's always out there, you know, filming videos and getting people to bring their cars and stuff like that, which I think is awesome. But I wanted to switch subjects a little bit. We mentioned some cars we wanted to talk about, but when we speak about kind of mainstream and how Lowrider had just, you know, just really forged a path into pop culture, Gypsy Rose is a lowrider that so many know that name. It was sitting at the nation's capital. There was a whole big thing, and I was surprised. I had shared some photos, and a lot of people didn't know about this. But, you know, I would tell people, go out there and search Gypsy Rose, Washington, D.C. There were some pretty amazing photos. What are some of the things that you've heard about Gypsy Rose over the years? I mean, didn't this even recently come up in some conversations?
Yeah, I mean, that's been coming up in conversations. I've seen a couple conversations on different, you know, topics of, like, it being, you know, the best all-time lowrider. And, you know, some of the things were said, some of the comments were like, yeah, for its time it was, you know, I mean, yeah, you can't take it away from Gypsy Rose. It was, you know, famous back in the 70s. I mean, everybody knows lowriding because of that car. Mm-hmm. But if you're deep into the lowriding roots, you know, everybody knows it. You got two cars, Gypsy Rose, and even G says it was nice from its era, but you can't pop the hood or trunk on that car. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Now it's just like even the mini truck stuff. Everybody's, you know, cleaning up the motors or the suspensions and stuff like that. And you can't take away the the fame that car got, and it was on, you know, a couple different episodes and even opened up for some TV shows and stuff like that. But, you know, the one, and we're proud of the car that's in Japan now, is Santana 64, which was built by Gangster from Majestics Compton. I mean, that's one of the, all, you know, when you think of, it was ahead of its time. What people are doing to cars now, G was doing that back in the 90s, you know, and it's a beautiful car. You got to pull it up, Santana 64.
Yeah, because I remember it was like, it was kind of a white, not white, but it was kind of a whitish base coat, and it had a graphic that went down it, and it had just some really cool colors. If I remember correctly, that was the one that you're talking about.
Yeah, it was the bandana theme.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah,
yep.
So, you know, he did it for his city, you know, and for his, you know, G was, you know, a lot of guys were in gangs back there, and you know, in the 70s and 80s and all that. So Santana Block Crips was who G was with, and he built that car, you know, for his city. You know.
Yeah, it's definitely a classic.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful car, and you know, there was a guy out there. His name was Doc, that painted that car, and he painted a lot of cars out on the West Coast. I mean, he even traveled. So I know Arizona. I can't tell you where else he traveled. Unfortunately, Doc just passed away a few months ago. Rest in peace. And he was a phenomenal painter. I mean, as you can see with Santana.
Oh yeah, yeah. And one thing I learned was my buddy Tim Davis. We were talking one day, and he had somehow he told me the story. He went to a lowrider. He lived out here, but he went to a lowrider show in L.A. and he had like a buddy. And I guess his buddy, you know, his parents had a lot of money, and they're like, "Hey, you want to go with us? We're gonna go to, you know, California." And he went out there, and he's like, "You want to go to the lowrider show?" And he's like, "Sure." And his dad took him, and he got a chance to see, I think it's referred to as Family Jewel, and that was the car that was in the Ice Cube It Was a Good Day video. And off the top of my head, I didn't know the name of it. So I had posted a photo that he had shared, and then I did some more research and found some. But like that car too, like, you know, it's odd how some of them just stick in our head, and we're like, man, that was such an awesome car, I thought.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there that was built back then, you know, or built in the early 2000s, and you know, like what today is lowriding is today. I think Santana paved the way for that. Like when you're looking at chrome undercarriage. Pop the hood, mirrors all chrome, motor all chromed out, pop the trunk, all chrome, hydraulics. I mean, nobody was doing that back then. And then now look, and what are you doing now? I mean, that's what, you know, everybody's doing that now, except, you know, they're taking it to the next level, engraving and stuff like that. But a lot of these cars that you guys remember, and we all remember, went to Japan. A lot of them are in Japan. Japan, there's a big lowrider, you know, it's big and low riding out in Japan, and so back then they start coming over here buying the cars, you know, and taking them back. So all these well-known low riders, you know, God, I wish we had them back here now, but they're in Japan now.
Yeah, for anyone that's a fan of Boys in the Hood movie, I had picked up the Blu-ray a couple of years ago. Rest in peace, John Singleton, and a lot of the actors and different characters in the movie, but. If you watch it with the audio documentary or the audio from the director, he talks about the car that was in that movie, and John Singleton makes kind of a joke, and he goes, I had an opportunity to buy that car, and I passed it up. And he goes, I really wish I wouldn't have. He goes, it's in Japan now, and it's worth a lot more money than I could have bought it for. And like just imagine. I mean, we're talking about some, you know, like with you know, the Santana, but then, you know, you think about some of the ones that were in a famous music video and things like that, and you just go, God, I mean, those cars are, I mean, probably worth a lot of money because people just would want to have that now, of course.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, now Japan, they, you know, of course, they're building their own cars now, so I don't know if a lot of that transferring of buying cars from the U.S. and getting them over there is still going on. They'll buy from guys like G. Like G built the big body a few years ago. Gangster, he built a big body Cadillac '94, and it went to Japan. you know, and that was just a few years ago. But they love him out there. He's like a celebrity in Japan.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And I do see, whether it be lowriders, mini trucks, and like even BMX bikes, and I'll take it one step further, like even Nike Air Jordans and things like that. The Japan culture they really love and embrace like what we do here, and I think people may not realize that as much. That, I mean, there's so many other countries that emulate what we do, where they love the lowrider culture that was, I mean, arguably was started here in America, and you know, I think that's just amazing, dude.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the big lowrider car clubs that are here in the States. They've got chapters out there in Japan, including Majestics. We got a chapter in Japan. We got like 41 chapters total.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah, 41 chapters now, man. It's grown like crazy since I've been in the club. But Japan has started a lot of their own chapters, obviously by the blessing of whoever the founders were here in the United States. But it's a big lowriding community out there.
Yeah, and you know, I want to talk about your car in a few minutes. One car that I really appreciate, and maybe not a lot of people know about this one. I had the opportunity to write the feature for Slammed Mag, and there's a guy on Instagram, if anybody wants to check it out. It's a totally different kind of Impala. His name is 64 and then Kamal, Kamal, and his Impala is basically, it's pretty much like doored. I mean, the thing is so low that you can't even see the rear wheel at all, right? But it looks like a normal lowrider. It's just super, super, super low, right? A little bit lower than you would maybe see just, you know, cruising out there. And when I look at, you know, what he's built and then having the opportunity to write it for Slammed, for this one, we actually titled it like Sixfo, Sixfo. And I had an opportunity to look at so many of the high-end photos and like how much detail work goes into it. And I just thought to myself, man, those guys over there, they really can put together some pretty sick vehicles.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's a 64 just came out from Majestics San Diego called Final Judgment.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see some crazy, insane work done to a car? Check that one out. It's amazing what he's done to that, and the mural work and everything else that's been done to that car.
Oh, I see it right here. Wow, yeah, those colors, man, those are just amazing.
Look at the feature on that car when you get a moment, and you'll see how the whole headliner inside that car was muraled out.
Yeah, and that's insane, dude. Like the display itself, all the engraving, all the chrome plating. It's
the detail work is insane on that. When you pop the hood and you look at where the wheel wells were, it's like it's 64 fenders on the inside of the engine compartment.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You see that?
Yep.
You see that? It's like like who would ever thought of that? I mean, it's just the detail in lowriders now is insane, you know.
Yeah, and even under the deck lid, I mean, it looks like some Da Vinci stuff. You know what I mean? The Sixtine Chapel and all that, and
exactly.
Yeah, definitely works of art. I wanted, you know, talking about the culture of lowrider or of low riding in general. Back in the day, you know, I had a few issues of lowrider. I always looked at it on the newsstands, and I did pick up some issues here and there. And I wanted to ask you, like, what do you think, Joey, of Joe Ray continuing Lowrider magazine as we know it, right? It was around all these years. The last issue was December 2019, but he's continued this into the next maybe phase of, you know, of Lowrider as we know it as terms of a magazine via YouTube. You know, what are your thoughts on him being able to continue that and you know, hopefully wrangle in some younger folks with lowriders?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm old school, so I miss having the magazine in my mailbox every month. You know what I mean? I mean, I understand that, you know, the transition because of the day and age now. Everybody's on the internet and, you know, on YouTube and doing this and doing that. So they had to make decisions to keep the magazine alive and do different things. Like they got, you know, where he visits different shops or different people's houses, you know, the car clubs and all that stuff's interesting. I like that. I like where they do what is it? Lowrider role models.
Yes.
That's another one. I really like that where they do the lowrider role models. That was really I feel that was important for the lowrider community because we had stereotyped a lot. You know what I mean? And still do. So I feel with the lowrider role models, it shows people, hey, we're not all gangbangers. We're not all, thugs or however you want people stereotype us. There's professionals out there, lawyers, doctors, shop owners, business owners, all these type of different peoples with all walks of life that just enjoy that lifestyle, enjoy them cars, So it had to be done. I get that. I understand a lot of people don't like the magazine thing or didn't care for it, but I'm old school. I miss the magazines.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you on that because, we lost Mini Truckin'. Basically, it was, 5 years before that, give or take. It was like 2014. And then, around 2019, that always sticks in my head because there was this big collapse of several magazines, including Truckin'. And a couple of them lived on, and they still live on, I guess, online. But I think, me personally, Lowrider's the one that comes to mind that has been able to really have the biggest force going forward instead of just going, oh, we're going to live online with this crappy website. They actually have a decent website. But to me, I'm thankful for the Lowrider role models because I watch those and it's given me ideas, kind of some inspiration. But it also highlights, if you've watched any of them, you'll know that it highlights people that have had some tragic things happen in their life, but it also highlights people that are doing amazing things. And to your point, it's definitely key not to stereotype folks into one thing because lowrider, not just like all motorcycle guys aren't they're not out there raising hell. Mini truckers were the same, and lowriders, you guys are the same.
Right. They just. I think that is important for the culture to highlight these guys, and they just did one on our president from Sacramento chapter, Chinaman, and that was a really good one. Really heartfelt interview they did on him. So if anybody goes on role models, check out the one with Chinaman. It was a good one. So
yeah, definitely, and you can just search Lowrider and or Lowrider role models. That's ROLE. So it kind of has that double entendre there. But there's even one you had mentioned earlier. There's the Majestics Car Club President 64 Impala. That was Role Model Season 5, Episode 6. And they're free. They're kind of under the Motor Trend umbrella based upon how everything kind of ended, with the magazines and so getting purchased out. But definitely good stuff there. Now, the other thing that was cool, you talk about publicity from a lowrider standpoint, Jay Leno's Garage. I really enjoy that show. He actually also did an episode related to lowriders, and Joe was also tied into that one as well. I thought that was pretty kick-ass.
Yeah, I thought so too, man. Seeing these guys collaborate, he has different styles of cars, so for him to open up a series to give, respect to lowriders, that was cool, man. I like that. So
yeah, and what was awesome, there's one scene in there, if everybody's seen it, it's kind of funny where Jay's like, well, hey, can I drive the car? And they're like, yeah, man, jump in. And then he buttons up his shirt, the top button. And I was like, man, it just made me smile, man. I was like kind of laughing how he's, trying to get all G'd up, but he loves his cars, man. That's for sure, and it's awesome. The cool thing about that show is there's such a swing. You'll see him talk about the shit that he really loves, the old stuff, and then you'll see him have a DeLorean, freaking Kit Night Rider car, and then boom, lowriders, man. So I'm down with it.
Well, it was kind of like us out there at Roosters at one time. Like there was a lot of different walks of life out there, and You know what? A lot of, I got to talk to a lot of different people out there, and I think it gave people in other walks of life a different outlook on the lowrider community and vice versa. Like, oh man, that's cool, And
exactly.
whether it was a rat rod or whether it was a mini truck or a muscle car, oh man, with us getting in situations like that, it opens up doors for everybody to see that this walk of life is not much different than what you are.
Exactly. It's just like we might like our stuff a little bit different, and that's it. And I do think that's important. A lot of folks have said over the years, and many truckers have said, if you drive your stuff, maybe a kid will see, oh man, look at that, Mom. I want to have something like that. So getting the stuff out there, and I even got to do a better job of kind of getting out there to the local stuff and showing kids that, hey, we can do it, they can do it too. But dude, I'm so excited to talk. I want to talk a little bit about Joey, share with us a little bit about, I'll call it your 64 rag, dude. I mean, give us some of the details, man. I'm so excited to talk about it.
No, I appreciate you having me on today, man.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, I got, like I told you earlier, I told myself when I seen that video I was going to have a 64 rag, and I got one. And yeah, I've had that car a long time. Actually, Jimbo found that car for me.
No way. Jimbo?
Yeah, Jimbo found that car for me. Yeah. And what's funny is, like I said, when I was younger, I seen that video, nothing but a G thing. I said, I'm going to have one of them. Well, then when I started Majestics, it was like the second or third year of Majestics. We showed at Lowrider magazine show in Tampa at the fairgrounds. And I was in the Central Florida chapter then. We had a guy named Rob that had a 64 convertible that he just had restored. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time I actually seen one in person. Had the 13s on it. It was beautiful, beautiful clean car. That car is actually in Arizona now with a good friend of mine that used to be in the club. He's actually with Uso Car Club now, Michael. And after that show, Jimbo was at that show. I said, man, I need to find me one of them. And at the time, I had my second 80s. That one was an 88 Monte Carlo LS that I had all patterned out and tweed interior. And Dave Heifeld painted that one. That was a nice car.
Ah.
And like a couple days later, Jimbo's like, I found you the car, man. And I wish I could remember his name right now, but it was the owner of Boulevard Customs.
Yes, I heard that.
Okay, that car I got was his car, and it was all in pieces. It was all like I had to climb up in the loft up there when they were over there on what is that, 66th Street, or is that Park Boulevard?
Yeah, I was getting confused. I think it's Park Boulevard. I think. Yeah,
it was Park Boulevard. So I had to climb up in the loft, and he had all these boxes full of parts, and I just bought the car, stuck them all inside the car, and brought it home. And I've had that car for over 20 years, man. I've been working on it, Yeah, but what it was is, you're younger. It's like you want to be on the street. So I'd work on it a little bit and then push it off to the side and build another car.
Yep.
And I did that for years. And then finally, about 5 years ago, I said, man, I pushed 40. I said, I either finish this car or I need to get rid of it. So for the last 5 years, I pushed hard on the car, and we're pretty much there.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I actually had a 77 Cadillac Coupe de Ville that was actually featured on Lowrider magazine a few years ago before this, and it was all chromed out, and I had it 90. I put a 90 Fleetwood front end on it, and a lot of people know that car. It was called the M-Way in Lowrider magazine. But yeah, that was a nice car. But I sold that car to finance the Impala, and it's a 64 Impala rag, like you said, all chrome suspension. I put the Toyota rear end in it, and I took the dash out. The bottom half of the dash is chrome plated, all chrome suspension. The motor, I got a 2-pump Black Magic hydraulic setup in the trunk, all painted with music and LEDs. Firm Hydro Works. Renee did the install of the hydraulics, and we had Herm. He helped me with the frame and stuff originally.
Mm-hmm.
Herm actually used to be my vice president in Majestic Car Club Daytona.
Ah, okay.
A lot of you guys know Herm. So yeah. But me and him were still good friends, man. And we got the 13x7 Zeniths on it. It's I painted it fawn beige. It's a 62 Impala color. And then I had the mural done on the trunk. The car's called the Game Changer 64. So I had a mural like good and bad on the trunk, something different. There's a artist over here in Central Florida over, and I think he lives in Longwood. His name's Travis Wilson. You need to look him up on Facebook.
Okay.
Amazing work. Amazing. It's called VAS Designs, VAS Designs. And I seen his work. He always did motorcycles, and then a friend of mine, John Bianco, told me, I was like, man, I need to find somebody local that does like detailed, realistic like airbrush. And he goes, you got to talk to Travis. I went on his page and looked at his work, and I said, man, I hit him up and said, you got to do my deck lid. And he goes, man, I ain't never did no cars, always did bikes. I said, you going to do a car now?
Yeah, because you had the confidence, and I'm like, dude, let's do this.
Yeah. And now he loves doing lowriders. So
now, kind of paint the picture for us. The color, I'm looking at some photos I took when I saw you at Roosters out there. The color, is that a factory color that you would say? Because that's one of my favorite colors. I've seen the cars that are very similar, and I wasn't sure if that was a factory color.
It wasn't a 64 color, but I loved the color so much. It was a 62 color called Fawn Beige.
Got it. Yep. Okay. Now, the trunk setup is sick because you've got the pumps, you've got the batteries where they look like they're all painted, right? They're all detailed too. But then you also have a speaker box, and I don't always see, with the lowrider car, right? Some people have different setups, but with yours, you've got the lights in it, you've got the speakers, and everything. I mean, everything in the trunk literally ties in. Talk to us a little bit about some of the detail that you did in the trunk.
In the trunk, we did the speaker box with the acrylic glass. And then I work for a plywood company, wholesale plywood company, so I know a lot of guys with CNC, so I had one of my customers do the Majestics plaque in the glass. And then the guy that built the box for me was a guy over here local. He has a company called Sounds by Design. His name's Aaron Dunkel. Mm-hmm. He built the box for me and put the glass with the LED strip in it so it all lights up. And then Renee, when he did the hydraulics, he put the LEDs up underneath the hydraulic pump, so I got a remote that works it all. And then the batteries are all painted the same color as the car. I trimmed out the trunk. Actually had a good friend of mine, Miguel. He's got a shop called Kamikaze Customs. Mm-hmm. He trimmed out everything to box my trunk in, and then we painted it the same color as the car, so it can just finish off the trunk real nice.
Yeah, it looks so good. Talk to us. I can't find my photo I took that night, but I remember spending some time looking at the interior, and you had some cool stuff in there. Was it some sort of lights, or was it like a rare old feature or something that lowriders put in the cars? I'm trying to remember what it was under the dash.
Yeah, it's a Bowman sound bar. So it hooks. Yeah, it's a sound bar. So that's a West. It's they've done it for years, but it's big on the West Coast. Herm and them run them in their cars too. But basically, it lights up with the beat of the music.
Yeah, so, kind of like that old school kind of thing,
Yeah. So I kept it traditional with the interior. The interior is all stock, except I like the hard top 64 Impala pattern. So I had the seats done by a company out of Alabama called ProFit Interiors. Mm-hmm. And I told them, I said, with the rear seat being the convertible seat smaller, they had to, fabricate it and do the hard top pattern and that. But, the interior is all stock pattern. That's, I like that. Like I was telling you earlier, I like the whole traditional lowrider look, man. To me, less is more. So,
yeah, I agree. Now, talk to us, like, if I zoom in on some of my photos, did the car, it looks like it has power windows, right? Was that part of the whole thing you wanted to do to make, like, almost like make it more like streamlined? Does it have power windows?
Well, it was an option back in 64, but yes, the car does have power windows. It's not an OG setup. There's a company, I can't remember the name of them right now, but they sell them. Yeah, that makes a power window kit for the car. So yeah, I got power windows in it. I got AC in it, like an aftermarket AC system in it. I got, I did what I did with the change up the interior a little bit. I didn't want aftermarket AC vents. So what I did is Eric from ED Restorations found me a lower half dash that was which was an AC dash, because that was an option back then. So that was hard to find. He found the dash for me. So what I did is we cut the dash. If you look on the 64 Impalas and even some of the other years, it's kind of got a seam running the long way. Mm-hmm. So we trimmed that seam, mocked it all up, and so the lower half of my dash is all chrome plated. And then the top half's the color of the car. So
that's pretty dope. Yeah, my dad had a 63, I think it was, and he always told me about it, and just seeing the car and seeing all the detail in it, and really, like, arguably, a lot of people will say, man, like, these cars, like, you'll see the old assembly line photos, and it's like, dude, Chevy was just, dude, they were hitting their stride, man. Like, these were, like, the cars that I think really define them, dude. I mean, they're beautiful cars. I mean, there's no other way I can explain it. One of my favorite features is the dual antenna. What's one of your favorite features on your car now that you have it totally done and restored?
Well, man, there's so much to see on my car. I mean, that's a hard decision. But I think I got to say probably my favorite part is the trunk on the car, because I look at it like, man, I can't believe this is my car. It doesn't seem real to me, But that's probably my favorite part is the trunk.
Yeah, I mean, I see the car, and it's like one you could see in a music video, a TV show. I mean, it's that nice of a car. We'll share some photos with everyone.
Yeah, I'll send you some other photos too.
Yeah,
that you can download. But what I did to this car is, like, every single piece of the trim, all the molding down the side, the suspension. If you pop the hood on my trunk, or pop the hood on my car, I'm sorry. The wheel wells I had chrome plated, the whole grill, everything that unbolted from the car, and even some things like the dash, I had chrome plated. Mm-hmm. The whole car's chrome, and when I couldn't have chrome, like the stainless around the windshield, I had that all polished to chrome finish.
Yeah, it looks really good. It really pops. The thing that I think, to me, that blows my mind, and you mentioned this earlier, there was a girl, I always forget her name because I think she's Japanese, but she lives in LA with her boyfriend. She's into hopping. She's got an Impala. She's in the shoes and stuff, and I forget her name. But when I look at her car, and they were also on Role Models, I think, and I look at your car, and I look at other folks, right? I mean, you nailed it earlier, Joey. These cars are so clean. I almost go, dude, like when I saw it there, I was like looking around, I was like, where's the trailer? Where's the trailer? And not in a disrespectful way, but I'm saying, dude, the car is so nice. It's hard. I mean, is it hard to get in and turn the key and go, okay, I want to cruise down the road? Because you're thinking to myself, I got all this time, all this detail. Talk to us a little bit about that whole, situation.
Well, you're always nervous about, other people on the road. You know what I mean? Like, but, what's funny is that night at Roosters, I did trailer it from Daytona over to do Herm's New Year's picnic and then do Roosters that night. But I drove it to Roosters. And then from there, I stayed at a hotel down the road, and I was telling Jimbo, I was like, hey, I'm going to take it back. And I was keeping it at their spot, him and Rihanna's spot. And I was like, I'm going to take it back. And he goes, no, you're going to drive it to the shop. That was the first time I ever drove that car, long distance.
That length, yeah. Yeah, and it had to be a good feeling for you, Joey.
Oh, it was amazing. And now, after you do that first run, after doing a frame-off build like that, you're always nervous, like, what's going to happen, what's going to go on.
Yep.
And after doing your first drive, you get more confident. But, a lot of people say that, like, man, you've done so much, you sure you want to drive it? And I'm like, what's the point of having it if you don't drive it?
Yeah, it's a very good point. And I'm a perfect candidate for that because, I finished this truck in 2012, really Jimmy's Riding Customs did, and then Big Body's Interior, they finished my truck. And, I drove it a little bit, and then I had some issues, like I overheated it, and then, had to change the valve cover or the head gaskets, and I had all these hiccups, and I had this really nice show truck, but I always felt like I had this, like, little mountain to get over. Earlier this year, I take it to Jimmy, him and Tim, they go through it. they do this huge bucket list, and then I get a chance to drive the truck, you know, and you just get in, you turn the key, it fires up. Such a good feeling, man. Just having something that you don't have to push around, having something that you know is well built, and it's just, dude, it's hitting on all cylinders, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to driving it more. Like, I guess I'm being real picky with trying to finish details on the car, so I haven't drove it much, you know, around the neighborhood or whatever. I'm just ready to get to the point where I'm ready to, I'm just ready to drive it and get out and cruise on a Friday night, and then ready to build a cruise over here to where, like Herman and do, man, where we can cruise once a month or whatever, and get a bunch of guys together and start cruising. I've had that car for so many years, it's time to enjoy it. So
yeah, it looks so good, and it didn't click to me that you had it for so long. And I mean, obviously you put the work in. I mean, you really pushed to get this thing over the top, and it's just awesome. It really is. And when I see it, I'm just like, dude, blown away. I know Jimbo, you mentioned him. I know you mentioned Rihanna. She's good people. Both of them are good folks. I wanted to ask you this, when you first got the car that day, like, did it feel like a TV show? Like, okay, you're like, man, I'm getting a 64 Impala, kind of my quote dream car, so to speak. I'm in this shop, I'm digging for the parts. And, now you see the shows like a Richard Rawlings or, all these different TV shows. But, like, what was the feeling the day that you bought it? Were you like, oh, shit, I got what I wanted? Or like, damn, I got this uphill battle?
No, I was excited. Like, man, I finally got it, and I didn't know the battle it was going to be to get it to where it is today. But the day I got it, man, I followed. It was on the tow truck, and like I said, it was over there in Pinellas Park, and I lived in Tampa, so I followed the tow truck all the way home, taking pictures. I got pictures of it going across the Gandy Bridge on the tow truck, And I never expected to be the battle that it has been, but the reward at the end, it'll pay off. There's plenty of times I wanted to give up, but I didn't. And like I said, everybody has a vision for what they want, and I had this vision from the day I bought it. Changed the color once or twice, but my vision that I had for the final it's coming together. And that's the reward, is like, when I was putting all these parts together and buying parts and all the chrome, I mean, I don't know, everybody says, what are you going to do now? Because, like, building this car has been like another job. It's like a whole other job, like finding this part or that part, or dealing with the vendors to get your parts. And I'm almost at the end. It's like, well, I guess that's why I bought my wife that 94 Cadillac, so I can start building it next. So I'm always got something to do, so. Yeah,
real talk. You kind of hit on it there, but, like, what would be your advice for someone that, maybe they feel like the weight of the world's on their shoulders to finish a build, or, God, I've been looking on eBay, or I've been looking here, I want to buy this, but I know it's going to be an uphill battle, right? You went through 20 years in the trenches, building other stuff. You kind of go, you know what, I hit my 40. I want to see this light at the end of the tunnel, kind of like what I did earlier this year with Jimmy's Art and Customs, helping me get over this little hump that I had. What advice would you give them, Joey, in terms of, like, seeing their project all the way through?
Keyword, patience.
There you go.
You got to have patience is the key, the number one thing. The second thing I recommend is, finding, like I said, I started this journey 20 years ago. If I knew a lot of the things I knew today, I would have did a lot of things different, but I can't turn back time. Make sure that you find the right resources to see your build through. There's a lot of, and we all know there's a lot of shady shops out there. A lot of shady people just want to take your money and they'll leave you on the back burner. So my recommendation, talk to people that's in the scene, whether it's mini trucks, whether it's low riders, whether it's, whatever you're in, muscle cars. Make sure you're talking to people in that scene that's dealt with people and then can point you in the right direction.
Yeah, one of the guys in the Lincoln groups recently talked about how he was going to have a shop work on his Lincoln, and he had seen all these people, these horror stories of people getting just taken for tons of money. And he goes, I'm going to give this guy a small job first with this old Ford pickup I've got. Nothing crazy, boom, right? And he goes, dude, it's been like 160 days or whatever, and he's like, the guy, you know, took a deposit and he hasn't done a thing on it, right? Yes. And he goes, dude, this is what I'm going to start doing from here on out. He's like, if you tell me to bring my car today and you're going to start working on it within like a couple weeks or a month or whatever, and, you know, in 6 months has gone by and you haven't touched anything, like, you may not want to take a 40 or 50,000 plus, 100,000 plus, you know, restoration to the guy, you know? So, like, I would always suggest that too, like, you know, word of mouth, but then also talk to different people, as you mentioned. And I think on top of that is you got to be careful. Everybody's going to tell you, oh, I can do it. Oh, we knew a guy locally was the same way. He's like, man, he goes, when the customer's here and they leave, he goes, everything's out the window. And I was thinking to myself, really? Did you just say that? And he was just, all he's about is getting that little bit of 500 deposit. That's all he needs. And then boom. And I'm like, man, this is not a guy I want to hang out with, you know?
That's most shops nowadays. That's what I said. And these older vehicles, you know, it's becoming a lost art to find these body shop guys that can do it. Mm-hmm. You know, just proven point. It took 3 shops to get my car done. I took it to 3 different body shops. So when I tell you 20 years, 10 years of that was sitting in body shops. I was in paint prison, you know, is what they call it, you know?
Yep.
Like dealing with nonsense, like trying to give them a chance, trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. 3 years there, 4 years there. And then, you know, finally got it to a shop. The guy knew what he was doing and he kept his word. He was an honest guy. You don't want to go through that. 10 years of your life goes by and then you don't even have a car and paint yet.
Yeah.
You know, that's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, in my mind at least, one of the things that people tend to not really realize is like, okay, so he's telling you that, right? This one guy. Well, then he's telling his other 10 customers the same thing. Well, just give me another week, man. And then a week goes by, a month goes by, years go, oh, man, I'm going to get to you this week. Well, he's probably telling 10 or 15 of his other customers that. And that's the frustrating thing. Yeah. I got one of my best friends, you know, he'll go and he'll get stuff done and then he'll be like, oh, man, you know, the car's sitting in. And I know some shops, you know, that we all go through trials and tribulations. I deal with a lot of contractors at work where, you know, they'll have a loved one that passes away and, you know, they've sold 300 pools and their life goes in turmoil. Well, if you take in money from all these people, you got to stand by your word. You can't just be like, and there's a company that just went out of business in this area. You know, I mean, they had sold 300 some odd pools. It's like, so, you know, I definitely encourage people, like you said it, Joey, you know, do your homework. You know what I mean? Yeah,
do your homework. And then if you get with a body and paint guy, that's the hardest part of the build, I think, is the body and paint, you know? Mm-hmm. You know, I recommend, you know, all right, well, I want to talk to let me see what some of your past work, and I want to talk to get some references, you know? Hey, let me get a couple of your old customers that can vouch for you, you know?
Exactly. So. Yep. Well, before we kind of wrap it up, and I'll ask you in a minute if you've got anything else. I mean, dude, it's been such a pleasure. You know, what's something that's ironic is when you and I have talked a couple times, dude, we talked about mini trucking. And, you know, obviously, you know, we're heavy in the mini trucks, and Minis on the Rise is our little catchphrase. My buddy Tony Bolin, kind of a spinoff of his On the Rise stuff. But, man, dude, it's pretty cool. I'm sure you see the Minis are on the rise, man.
Oh, it's awesome, man. You know, I've never had one, but, man, I love it. I love the style. I love seeing it coming back. You know, I'm an old school guy, so seeing these, even the old school Mini, you know, style coming back is like, it's got me stoked, man. And, you know, if I had more time, I would love to have one, but you only have so much time and money in life, you know, so.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing. Like, you and I can kind of get down and we can talk about cars and the culture and the music and just different, you know, different pieces of what we like. And I think that's important because, you know, just like I've never technically owned a lowrider, but I tell you what, man, you could look at the categories of shit I watch on YouTube, and like lowriders is like a big aspect of that. Speaking of that, like I see a lot of hopping, and it blows my mind at how good these guys can control the cars. I'm thinking, you know, we used to like to drag a lot, but dude, you see these guys in these cruises, and they're just going kapow, kapow, and they're. I'm like, it has to take some practice to get to that level, but then they're wrapping the frames, they're doing the curry rear ends, like. I mean, to me, like all of that stuff just goes into the culture of what we love, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said earlier, you got your different styles of low riders. You got your low and slow guys, and then you got your hoppers. The hoppers, man, it doesn't come easy. That's a lot of work, you know. And I can't tell you, these guys that I know, like I told you about Renee and Firm Hydro Works, them guys are into the hopping big time. I mean, they do all the cars. They're low and slow and the hopping, but they got a couple hoppers over there, man. They're building more, but I mean, there's a lot of money, and every time they hop them cars in them competitions and all that, they got to bring them back, and you know, they're either working on them during the competition, or they got to bring it back and redo stuff. They're spending every time they hop that car, they got to spend $200, $300, $400 every time. It's not a cheap sport.
Yep.
So, and to build it, that's frame off. It's like building a show car. It's a totally frame off situation, because you got to build that frame coming off the GM factory line wasn't built to do that. So they have to, you know, turn it into like an armor truck, you know?
Exactly. The last thing I'll share like about mini trucks is, for those that don't know, there were 2 covers that had Dayton wire wheels on it. So there was Spring 89, which was issue 3 way back in the day. And then actually I think there were 2. And then the other one was issue 55, July 96. That was the Mazda single cab. And this one was the most lowrider themed mini truck in issue, I think. It was the Mazda single cab with Red's hydraulics hopping on the cover. And I always thought, like, I wish they would have done more of that. But there's a whole style, and I follow a couple Instagram pages in Hawaii. They have their own, like, Hawaiian style, they kind of call it, with mini trucks, and, like, the colors, the golds, the wire wheels and stuff. They have, like, their own, like, mini trucking genre there. And I always thought that was kind of cool, and I'd like to see more of it. I guess I need to share some of those photos sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to see that, man. I have so much respect for the mini truck scene, man. The work, you know, we talk about the quality of work in lowriders, man. The quality of work in these mini trucks is phenomenal. Like the paint jobs, you know, I mean, you pop the hoods on a lot of them trucks, and it's like all chromed out or powder coated or whatever, anodized, whatever they're doing. And man, much respect to you guys, man. I like that. I like that whole scene. Like, I have a lot of respect for you guys.
Yeah, and it's mutual, man. I really appreciate that, because, I mean, I see some of the lowrider stuff, and, you know, we didn't get a chance to really talk about the displays and stuff. And there's a few guys in mini trucking that do it. But, I mean, I think about all the work to set the vehicle up and to do all of this. I mean, it's a lot. And one of the role models I had watched, it had to do with a family that painted this truck back in the day. It was a really, really famous truck. And they got the painter there, and they had the family. And they talked about, like, how much, like, they're like, man, we went to this show, and, you know, this guy beat us, so we went back to the drawing board, and we went even harder in the paint. And then, well, we did this, and then we took the best of show. And that camaraderie, that wasn't a disrespectful thing. It was a thing of pride, right, to go out and hustle hard and win that award. I do love that. And but the lowrider guys and the ladies out there, man, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Even our friend Christina Ceremi, she her Cadillac was in Lowrider magazine, and she has billet wheels. You know, she has an LS swap, but she overall has this theme of just badassery, right? So it just goes to show the whole culture isn't one specific thing. It's like, oh, well, it didn't have wire wheels. Yeah, but it has the whole culture behind it, you know, and that it was really cool to see hers in print. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, and the whole wire wheel thing, yeah, that's like in Majestics, you got to have that, but that doesn't mean any. There's other clubs out there. You don't have to have wire wheels. You can run some springs and this and that. That's what I was talking about earlier. Doesn't mean it doesn't make it a lowrider.
Exactly, you know? Exactly. But Joey, why don't you give a shout out to your family, dude? I mean, it's been awesome sitting down, but I know you kind of shouted out the wife and the kids earlier, but man, give them a huge shout out, brother.
Well, I want to give a shout out first and foremost, my wife, the patience she has, the way she stuck it through over the last 4 years with me, 5 years with just trying to finish up the car. I mean, it takes a lot of time away from the family to do them things. You know what I mean? So, yeah, shout out. And in the middle of all that, we had a beautiful baby girl, you know, and she's about to be 3 years old. So in the middle of trying to have a baby and then I have we have two other little kids, that she brought to the table, and that's my son and daughter that through marriage, man. And Javian and Destiny and Sierra is our baby. And, I just want to shout out to my family, man, for all the patience and my wife dealing with the kids while I'm doing what I had to do. And then I want to give a shout out to all my club brothers out there, Majestics worldwide, man. You guys give me the inspiration to do what I do and to keep going. Much love and respect to all them guys, especially G, man, believing in me, to give me my chapter and always having faith in me out here on the East Coast, So.
Yeah, that's real talk. Remember when Pac said, we ain't shit without our homeboys? Well, we ain't shit without our families, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want to thank, I've mentioned a lot through this whole interview, Jimbo, and, man, we've been friends for a long time, and he was the first guy I met in Florida, so much respect to him, man. He's like a brother to me. So. Yeah,
that's cool, man. I want to get a ride in your car one day. Jimbo and Rihanna were like, yeah, I got to ride in that. I said, nah, man, that ain't cool. I was messing with them,
no doubt. Yeah, and I want to thank everybody that helped me get the car to where it is today, man. I mean, there's a lot of them out there. Firm Hydro Works, Kamikaze, Sounds by Design. I mean, man, who else is there? You got Doug, my painter. Thank you, man. He's always there for me right before every show, making sure everything's right. Man, the list goes on. I know I'm forgetting. EDE Restorations, Eric Well Jr., man. Thank you so much, man. He's another one that's been there for me to get the car where it is by helping me with the assembly and getting it running and everything else, man. Thanks a lot, Eric, man, from EDE Restorations. You want a good shop to help restore your Impala or even any of your muscle cars? That's the shop, man, right there. So,
yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah. I want to mention, too, man, I'm putting together a show for next year. I know we missed it the last 2 years with COVID and everything, so I'm in talks with hopefully Volusia County Fairgrounds is where we're pushing to have it, and everybody's welcome. With Majestics Daytona Beach show, it's not just a lowrider show. I've been doing that show for over 10 years, man, and anybody that's come out this way, they know we got muscle cars there, a lot of imports, man. I got more imports than I do lowriders that show up to that show, man.
That's a dope.
And much respect to Street Styles Car Club and Wild and Crazy Car Club. They're the import guys out this way. They got trucks and stuff too, but they always support me. But many trucks, man, I'd love to see a fleet of many trucks show up next year. And all you guys are welcome, man. So.
Yeah, you sent the word, and we'll do whatever we can to make it happen. I would also want to do a quick little blurb. If you guys love low vehicles, whether it be a mini truck, a lowrider, we even had a Lincoln on the cover. Check out All Time Low Magazine. Go to atlmagazine.com. And speaking of ATL Magazine, you can end up buying individual issues or a subscription. And we'll have to talk with our family over there at ATL Magazine about there's not as many magazines these days where you can get featured, right? I mean, there's Dub and there's a few, but the cool thing about All Time Low, Joey, is that they feature everything. So, like, I shot a Lincoln 65, my buddy Tom's, and they ran it on the cover.
Yeah.
So, if there's an opportunity to go, hey, man, maybe run a lowrider in ATL Magazine. I mean, they've done this kind of stuff before. I'd love to see it. I'd love to help, and I would encourage people. They support the scene. Visit ATL. Magazine.com. But yeah, man, dude, it's been a pleasure. It's awesome for me. I guess I got this from my dad. I love meeting other people. So, it's awesome when I can go to a show and slap hands with a dude or a chick and talk about the lifestyle, right? And the cars and all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's what's most important to me, and to be able to have you come on and kind of share some of that. And I want to give a huge shout out to the Majestics worldwide. I mean, I got a lot of love and respect. I've seen those logos for years. I'm following the founder now, but I mean, for you to kind of help bridge the gap and talk a little bit about some of the stuff on the lowrider side, much appreciated and much love, brother.
Well, I appreciate you having me on the show, man, and been looking forward to this for a long time, and hopefully it's opened the eyes for us to kind of put the guards down, the walls down, man, and it's all just unite, as just car and truck enthusiasts,
I couldn't have said it better, brother. That's a good promo right there. But it's Joey Majestics on Instagram, just how it sounds. No hashtag or no underscore, I should say. No spaces.
Right.
Just check them out. And Joey, I do really hope to get out to your show. I mean, you can put me down for it. So keep me in the loop. You can text me anytime, and we'll get the word out, and we'll try to go full force. And my buddy Jimmy at Jimmy's Running Customs, he's out there in that area. I think he technically is in Volusia County. He's in Edgewater.
Okay.
So next time I'm out there, I'll have to look you up. We'll have to get a bite to eat or something.
Yeah, man, that'd be great, man. Yeah, we're looking at February 2022, man. So when I get closer, maybe we can get back on the show and just put a little follow up on some things and put the show out there.
1,000%, brother. Well, listen, keep in touch, and I'll do the same.
Absolutely.
Man.
All right, sounds good, man. Send me the info on that magazine, man. I'm interested in looking at that. There's another, like we said earlier, and I'll let you go, is there's not a lot of actual published magazines out there, so I'm interested in that ATL, but there's a new one. The guy's up and coming out on the West Coast. He hasn't made it out here yet. It's called Centerfolds, FOLDZ. Check that one out. I just got their first issue. He doesn't do them every month, but, man, the quality of the magazine is amazing.
Yeah, I see it right here.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. I just hit follow on it. Lowrider Centerfolds with a Z. I'll definitely check that out. Yeah, I love the whole culture stuff. And there's another magazine, CK Trucks, that recently came out, and I actually saw it on newsstands. So they, print is not dead, as All Time Low magazine always says, but sometimes it's when you see it in person, you go, oh wow, I guess it isn't dead. That's pretty awesome. So
well, the Impala hasn't been ain't been in no magazine yet, so we'll see if we can get it in a published magazine.
Yeah, 1,000%. Well, we'll keep in touch, Joey. And again, much love, Majestics Worldwide, and keep doing what you do, brother.
All right, thank you, brother. Thanks again.
We at you.